order and rise to the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. John Wakefield.
Here.
Dale Peterson is not here yet. Ron Ball.
Here.
Sean Steffen.
Here.
Troy's here. Okay.
I made a mistake on the oaths of offices. I had Sean Steffen instead of Dale Peterson, so we can't do the oath of office quite yet.
But we can have election of officers. I think December typically is a meeting that the election of officers, no?
First meeting after the first of the year.
Oh, it's a January meeting?
Hang on, we'll check.
Well, I just asked Samantha to look back a couple of years in the minutes and see when it was done in the past.
And Connie found that it was the first meeting in December. Shoot.
Hi, Dale. I did not go read the century code.
Okay. (11/11/08). At the first meeting of the Board of County Commissioners each year, the members of the board shall elect one of their numbered chairmen, who shall act as the chairman for such board meetings during that year in which the chairman is elected, or until the chairman's successor is elected. So each year, I presume it to mean at the start of...
That's the way it sounds.
Right, because it says the first meeting of the Board of County Commissioners each year, so I assume that's the first meeting in January.
It's fine with me. They were doing it in December, but that doesn't mean we have to.
Yeah, I think if we... yeah.
Sure sounds pretty
Yeah,
clear. First
yeah.
meeting of the year.
Yeah. We did it in December last year just because we were all brand new and we had needed one.
Right.
Maybe even did it in November.
But anyway, I think that's what it's supposed to be. So. Okay.
If you'd like to put that off a month, I guess I'd entertain a motion to table it for January meeting.
Yes, I'll move the table the appointment of chairman to the first meeting.
Been moved by Sean to table the election officers until January, first meeting in January. Is there a second to the motion?
I'd second.
Seconded by Dale, who is now here.
Actually, that will be the 8th. Is it a second and the first and third?
First.
The first is a holiday.
The first is a holiday.
Okay.
So it'd be the 8th.
Okay. Yeah.
So we'll meet on the second and third Fridays of January.
Wouldn't it be the 9th? January 9th?
Maybe it is. Yeah, that sounds right. January
9th, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll meet on the 9th and the 16th.
Well, the second
the 9th and the
is
23rd.
the second is the first.
Oh, so we
Friday.
should meet on the second then.
Right.
Connie would like it that we put it off till the 9th so that we can close books.
Okay.
Okay.
If that's all right.
My quota.
It's been moved and seconded that we table the election officers until the first meeting in January. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we're gonna approve the agenda. That probably should have been,
Well, I was told that Cindy said that I was supposed to start the meeting if you guys were gonna do that. Cause then,
oh,
'cause then you would approve the agenda.
I see. You administer the oaths too when you get, okay. Any additions or corrections to the agenda?
I move we accept the agenda as presented.
Been moved by John to accept the agenda as presented. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Ron. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Move on to the bills.
There's some bills that are in the positives right now, but will be going negative.
Those are the highlighted ones there.
Those are the ones that are gonna be going over, but then it's a positive 388 for the CWB's water and sewer and garbage, and then before this comes out.
Okay.
So, and there's quite a few of those. I know that the telephone is, this one is up, and then it's going to be going over because of the Verizon and because of the Griggs County telephone.
Okay.
So the amount in parentheses is what it will be over
Is what it is right now.
Okay.
And if there's a positive, it's obvious.
Oh, and by approving these, they're gonna go negative.
Correct.
Okay,
But we don't have an amount for the negative.
right.
The $50,000 Griggs County HS transfer to CWB.
It was human services, and then once social services is going over, then we do transfers.
Okay. And I presume the election systems and software is for just what it says, computers for the election.
Yep. There was one that I was supposed to bring up. It was for the coachman. Coachman meals. It was a $15 tip that we didn't pay, and we were under the impression that Cindy had picked up the meals and brought them to them, but actually they delivered them. So then,
It wasn't a tip, it was a delivery charge.
but then she called and said it was a tip. So that's what that is.
That's not on here?
Yeah,
It should be.
It's right below the city of Cooperstown, the highlight.
Oh. North Dakota surplus property for $308. What accounts, what's RC? What account is that?
Where is that one?
Original corrections, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. How about the $13.50 to TJ Electronics? $1,267 out of
Social Security.
technology. Yeah.
That was Social Security and technology, but I can find.
And there's $82.50 out of CWB. Evidently, you must have been doing some.
Computer.
Am I missing?
It's way towards the bottom, I think.
There it is.
Maybe you.
The rack ramp, that's every month. That's for the backup server in Fargo.
That's all the questions I have.
Okay. I think this stuff's mostly, or it looks all like it's customary. Or do you want me to insert it back in your pile there?
Yes, please.
Right here?
I'll move to approve the December vouchers.
Been moved to approve the November bills and December vouchers by Sean. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Ron. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. Sean?
Aye.
Dale? Ron?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is the monthly office reports. So looking at this, there probably was no, landowners that participated in that state program. If there's no expenses for chemicals in 2014. Is that right?
Oh, I have
That-
the vouchers that we paid.
Oh, you
them.
have some reimbursement? You found some stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we approved some of
Okay.
it.
I couldn't remember.
Just didn't make it out of the Republic evidently.
I move to accept the office reports as presented.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to accept the monthly office reports. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Hi, Wayne.
Hi, Troy.
How are you?
Good. It's 2:45.
It's gonna be and has been.
Oh, okay. Thought that was going like a slow. In other words, it's my time.
You are up.
We want to start with the opening of the proposals from the engineering firm.
Sure.
We have two proposals we received, one from Renaissance Engineering and one from Cadmister and Jackson. And I don't know the proper procedure. Just open them up to make sure I look at them first.
It's not like that.
These are good proposals for the engineering, preliminary design and construction engineering on chip seals for 2015. Griggs County Highway 19. Put my glasses up. 19, 2002, and 2026.
Oh, these are all the same, I'm supposed to share? John?
Another one?
Pardon?
Is there another one?
Did we get one extra one out there? Yep.
Okay.
Each firm should supply the firm's capability, which is resume of key personnel, particular references to similar projects, in-house engineering expertise, and our need for outside consultants, civil, electrical, mechanical, and testing, etc. Record and performance, submit list of similar projects completed within the last 3 years. This owner, type of work, and construction costs. Submit references of 4 clients and or individuals, one shall be a financial reference. And C, general information, ownership, verify if minority owned, firm's headquarters where work will be performed, and for which expenses and mileage should be charged, name and phone number of the consultant's contact person. Each firm will be judged on the basis of the values as shown above. Those firms not selected will be advised in writing proposals. That's a period, sorry about that. Proposals shall be limited to more than 6 pages. County reserves the right to reject any and all proposals.
So, explain the process then. How does, we pick the firm without, based on experience, but how about when we get to the actual work that's done and the price is charged? How's that determined?
You negotiate the contracts after you select it based on what qualifications based. That's how the Century Code guides you. And then if you can't negotiate a contract amount with whoever you've selected to do the services, then you can at that time say, nope, we'll go to whoever the next one is.
So what's the purpose of doing it this way rather than just a straight bid system, just a straight bid on the services when they're needed?
As far as like,
Well, I mean, if we're not selecting the firm based on the price they're gonna charge us for the project, and we have, so why are we selecting them now anyway? If we select them, but we still have to determine the price they're gonna charge us for the work, why don't we subject them to the same process we subject the contractors to, where they submit bids and the low bid wins?
because you can't select engineering services on a bidding system. It's a quality-based selection per the Century Code. That's the way it reads.
But it basically becomes a bid system. If you're not happy with the price that they give you, you get to put it out to the next firm, so it becomes a bidding process.
But you have to, I mean, you negotiate a contract and you have to have pretty solid reasons. If you were using it as a tool to essentially turn it into a bidding, system based on cost, you can't do that. It's like,
What's the rationale behind it, do you know? What would be the benefit to the taxpayer to not have it on a bid system?
because it's an engineering service is based on the qualification of the engineer doing the work. So if you just do it as a low bid and there's nothing to do with qualifications, then
But all the bids are based on on price, qualifications, ability to do the work. They're all based on that. Well, I
For
mean,
contractors, but they're kind of weeded out because they have to be licensed through the state. They're essentially pre-qualified. I guess you could say it that way, but that's.
so we have to do it this way? We have to select an engineer?
I think so.
That's
There's just a request for proposal, there's no bidding, you know, in the,
No, I understand that.
in the ad or anything, it doesn't say the bid price or anything.
you can't. It's against. Unless Jamie interprets it differently, but that's across the state that you can't. It's qualification based for any engineering services, for architect, engineering, and surveying.
I had the century code, one time I had that with me today, but where it
it's
says,
It's in chapter 54.
Oh, I don't doubt that it says it, I just don't understand the rationale behind it. Other than favoritism and job security, but it doesn't seem like it benefits the taxpayer this way. Nevertheless, if that's the way we have to do it, that's the way we'll do it.
you can't do it by favoritism, you just have to do it by what you guys see in the books, I guess, and what
No, I mean,
knowledges of those companies and things, you know, that's.
let me rephrase that. It gives the ability to offer favoritism this way when there's the only rationale is subjective on what their qualifications were, because you can put whatever weight you want on it, individual qualifications, and pretty much justify any proposal. The deciding factor should be money, and then that will weigh against the qualifications. A low bid and low qualifications might get thrown out, but a moderate qualifications and a low bid should win over a low bid and no qualifications. That's all.
That's where the century code after changed.
No. I was just wondering if we're locked in of doing it this way.
Well, that would be unfair just to take the lowest bid person too. I mean, if he doesn't have the qualifications or people know of things that haven't been right. I'm not seeing these two, but anyone.
But we do that all the time. We set the standards for the project, and then we bid it, and we take the low bid, and then if they don't live up to the standards of the project, then there's penalties imposed on that. So I mean, this is out of the ordinary from what it's normally done. It's just
No, but it's
evidently there were a lot of engineers elected.
That is the normal way.
Yeah.
It's done that way.
Apparently there were a lot of engineers elected to the House of Representatives there.
Do we have to make a decision today on this? For myself, I'd like to read the century code and cut off those requirements and stuff, so I'd like to take a look for one meeting if we could.
You can do whatever you want, I guess, but the century code isn't gonna change, it's gonna say that you have to do it this way. If you could wait on when your next meeting is, you could probably, but can't really discuss it amongst yourselves, so.
One thing you guys could do is if you wanted to, and I think the century code outlines this too, you can put together a selection committee. So where that's all of you, however many minutes, a couple of you guys and Wayne, or however that works, anyway, put together a committee to review the proposals, and then you can figure out a way that you want to score them. Because that's typically, if you're reviewing them, you can set up your criteria and then decide how you want to put numbers to it. And then you compare notes and see how your scores come out. And so you can do that.
Yeah, I'd like to review, I'd like to read the whole century code and review all the options, just to see if there are any other options.
But that was the option you would have, just keeping in mind too, that, you know, if you can do that and then make a decision at your next meeting, great. Just the longer that it gets delayed is just the longer your project gets delayed, that's all.
Yeah, so I will move to table it until the next meeting.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to table the selection of the engineer for the 2015 road projects until the next meeting. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
We haven't received, we've received the contract yet back from Tom Gilbertson and Sons for the gravel next year. And hopefully
Yeah, if I don't have anything by Monday, I'll give him a call and just follow up with him and see if they have questions on. Basically, it's the contract between you and him, so he'll sign it, and then hopefully we'd have it for the next meeting, so I can bring it back to you guys to sign off. When we have the signed contract, then we can request reimbursement up front.
Does that need to be done in 2014?
We were trying to have that done, you know, and
Okay.
we'll still push that way, so
Okay,
I'll follow up with him.
that's
and
what
see.
I thought. Okay,
So hopefully we will have that for the next meeting.
okay.
Just that and then the reimbursements, I'm not sure if those are the separate ones.
talk about that. What is this?
Yeah, we put together reimbursements, there was invoices for engineering that came through, one on the Sutton Road and one on the gravel project. I think the invoices may have come through for your last meeting, actually. And we were requesting reimbursement using that state money on both of those projects. The reason we didn't have the reimbursements follow the invoices last time was because they were pretty small amounts, and we were thinking we'd have the gravel contract by then. So we
Okay.
could have just, instead of sending them reimbursements every week.
Right.
So those are just essentially for approval and signature
Okay.
on bills that have been paid, I believe.
We are up to date with the reimbursements as what the report said from the state.
Okay.
When we sent out, we have been reimbursed 1.347637.42 million. The 1,497,374.9. We received and then last week, Ed Pavlish from the Grand Forks DOT District, Sean Mayfield from KOJ, and I did the final inspection for the chip seals, County Road 8 from Highway number 1 west of the Foster County line, and County Road 2 from number 1 west to Red Willow Lake. And everything looked good. It seems like the chips are holding and everything, so I signed off on that. Next week, Jamie and I will be meeting on Wednesday to talk about the drainage policy that we're going to be drawing up. Haven't had time yet to do that.
Should be froze up now, right?
Pardon?
Should be froze up now.
It should be now, so we're not in a hurry with this, but I think there's a maintenance certification to sign. I think, Sam's got that.
Excuse me?
Maintenance certification, certify that we are keeping up our federal aid roads. I got a copy. All I got was a letter, but I think there's you got from the state highway department. That's to certify that we have been doing our chip seals and whatever keeping up our federal aid projects. It has to be signed, I think, by Jamie, I believe, the state's attorney.
Oh, it needs to be, yeah.
It needs to be signed by Jamie, it needs to be signed by you, or whoever the chairman is, and Sam, I think. This cost.
What's this,
Maybe even
what's
me.
this audit certification?
Pardon?
There's another form in here called an audit certification.
Some of that is just samples, I think, of, so all I got was a letter, it closes the annual maintenance certification for county federal aid projects for you to sign and return to my office by January 15th. The certification states that your county is properly maintaining the projects that had federal aid for construction. Also encloses a sample construction and maintenance agreement similar to the one you have signed for each federal aid construction project. See page 3. If you have any questions, call Paul Benning at 71328-2017. But I did look at it the other day, and I think there's a form in there for chairman and state's attorney. Auditor.
Yeah, you need to sign this, and so does Samantha and Jamie. That last form in there, it looks like it's for subrecipients of federal dollars. So if looks like if there's federal dollars that flow through the state, we would be a subrecipient. You'll have to look at that the way, I don't know if we've done that in the past. It just says we're either compliant with their audit requirements or we're not subject to their audit requirements, and I'm not sure which is accurate.
I can find out.
Okay.
Maybe Jamie would know, but I can call the state and see if we have to.
Right, or we must have got that in the past.
I don't know if we've ever done that.
I think that's probably new. There's a lot of new things with this whole Title VI compliancy, which is it's a whole lot of paperwork. And
Okay.
I think you can check with Jamie and maybe call Paul. And I think you guys would be exempt because it comes into play. You're open to an audit when you're the one paying out a lot of money to the contractor on a federal aid project and then receiving a reimbursement from the state, because now all of a sudden you're open to the audit. Typically the way with your 80-20 split on your federal aid projects, that's going through the DOT and you're paying them, so then you're not considered a recipient because you're paying them. That's kind of the way they've made that work to save the counties from a lot of audits that
Okay.
will happen, but probably clarify that.
Okay. We did pay our 19.7% of that is, I think, on that project last, or is it this time? The state. So we paid our percentage, we always call it 20% of the project already, so. I think in your package you might have a letter there about North Dakota DOT traffic counters we've done in 2015. I think I mentioned it one other time probably. If there's any place that you think you would like a traffic counter to be put down, I checked the map. I went on the DOT site and you can check the map and check where the traffic counters have been in the past. And because I was concerned with the Hannaford area, Sutton. And they do have some in those areas, maybe not as many as we could have had. There is one on County Road 10, just off that Langer corner. They usually put one up there. Well, all of our county, the Sutton Road, there's one I think north of town and also one farther south. So I think there'd be enough there, but if anybody has any concern, you know, that you can think of the other place. I can't remember if there's one on the Maxwell Road or not. Probably is on the end. Or will be next summer. And some of the traffic counts on their counters just doesn't look realistic, but I don't know what time of the year that the traffic counters were put down, you know. If it's in the spring when you know how busy the roads are then, and then in the fall after harvest. And also local road safety projects. Remember we had that company from Minnesota came in and did a bunch of safety projects. There is several they have, of course, for Griggs County. There's two large ones, and I'm going to check with the state because they're connected with the state highway. Number one, coming out of Benford, they have they want to put on what's called a mainline warning system. Dynamic horn warning system. They must embed some type of a sensor into the road, and then as the traffic approaches the intersection, the light will come on, warning the people that are going north and south, and number one, if there's a vehicle coming up to the intersection. There's $65,000, $70,000 projects. Federal funds on the one by the airport road would be $58,000, and local match would be $6,000. At Binford, there's $67,000 federal, $7,500 local match. I think when they first were talking about that, some of that match, if it was connected to a state highway, would be paid by the state highway. So I would have to find out for that. I talked to Sean Coots from the DOT, who was kind of responsible. We were supposed to send these in, I think by the 19th. He said just pick out the ones that have the highest priority, and there's a table in here that has rated by stars. And he said not everyone is going to get funded this year because there's not enough money. It's like a 5-year program. So he said just take a few and submit. And I was thinking of on that County Road 8, white edge lines. We talked about edge lines, and I know that they had edge lines in here for that. And also there were some chevrons. We already did the white lines on the Sutton roads, so that was one of the projects, but that's already been done. So if you would want me just to go ahead with some of the minor projects and just submit them, and you know, probably won't be selected anyway, but because everybody's competing for this. But I would do that. I'd have to get it sent in the next couple of weeks or week and a half. I don't know if you need a vote on that or not, but
I don't know if we need a vote for you to submit, but we would before
because you
we
still
did
have
them.
the opportunity, I'm sure, at the end to
Before we did them.
accept or.
You don't know which ones you're gonna,
Well, I'm thinking of the chevrons, and then with these also is new stop signs, new warning ahead stop signs, and intersection sign on most of these projects, was something we have to do anyway, you know, with the new reflectivity guidelines that we have to go by, and so if they're paid for, it's gonna help us, percentage of it, so.
Probably prioritize a couple projects and
Yeah,
submit
just
them.
put a couple in there and see what
okay?
happens. What else? Tractor lease program is no longer available. I did call Titan from Jamestown because Terry Crane from the Association of Counties said we could try talking to our local dealerships and maybe we could work something out. he said he could lease a tractor about the same size for $15,000 a year, $300 a year for 3 years lease. This year we did $1,812.50 worth of mowing.
That's what you build people, you mean?
So we're gonna bill people, or they have now.
How much, 18,000?
1,800. I wish it was 18,000. That would take care of it.
1,800, that's not very much.
It's enough when they start calling and complaining about, well, I had it mowed, but you mowed it. So that's a good thing. I'd rather not have anything there,
No, I know.
you know, so everybody would mow, but
What we have now, is it 2 New Holland tractors you lease?
we did have, we had to turn them back.
Oh, they've gone back already?
November. The 15th of November, or no, maybe it was right before deer season. We went back. So, but that's something that we can look into the future. We have been cleaning up around the lots there and stuff. We sold over $4,400 in scrap iron. Cutting edges and other things that laid around that's been there for 20 years. We've got rid of that. We would like to be able to use that for some tools. We were talking about a NIPCO, because our NIPCOs don't work very good. Maybe not a NIPCO brand, but that's some type of a heater like that, portable heater. It's I deposited in the road miscellaneous fund. So. Anything else you say? I think that's about it. Lot to go over.
I have these 2 reimbursement requests that Wayne made reference to earlier. One is for $1,310.01 and one is for $4,500. I think we could do a motion for me to sign these so that Samantha can put them in the mail.
They weren't included in there. They weren't included in the December vote.
This is funds that we've
Oh.
spent and we're asking for
Request from the
reimbursement
state.
from the state Department of Transportation. One of them is for engineering costs, looks like. Okay.
Different time periods.
One is for the construction engineering on Sutton Road, and the other one is for, we had that $5,000 contract to put the plans and specs together on the ground project. So that's the only reimbursement we'll be in that part until we get the contract signed.
Okay.
And the actual work, so.
I'd move we sign the request for reimbursement from DOT.
Been moved by Sean that we approve these reimbursement requests. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
One more thing, I just, look at my notes, I did completing the request for reimbursement from the State Water Commission for those Cheyenne River projects. So that's something needs to be-
Up north.
Yeah,
Is that, you've rip-wrapped some of that already?
we worked out good morning.
Okay. Haven't driven by there.
23,000, I think it, Gilbertson's portion was in there this last time or something.
Okay. I guess we did talk about that, didn't we? Okay.
I have one thing for Wayne. I've been in contact with a couple other counties about the draining permits in the ditches. I've gotten information back from Grand Forks County and from Trail County. I'm waiting for Pembina and Walsh, and I believe there's some in Cass yet. So it's Wayne and I are going to start getting together next week to start working on it. So we should come up with something in the next month or so.
Yeah, he mentioned that in his report that you guys were gonna get together next Wednesday. Okay, anything else? Thank you, Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne.
Jennifer.
Thank you.
Got to read your resume. School of Mines, huh?
Yeah, I don't know how they let me come up here. 'Cause I snuck in, I got stuck for them.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Association of County Engineers, anybody interested in the conference?
I saw that.
Is that a yes?
No.
You're up. John? Okay.
January 21st. No Bob, no Emily. Mid-Continent Agreement or library? You guys want to go?
People are here for the library.
Long.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Nope.
Well, we'd like to thank you for letting us come to present our proposal, as Troy asked us to do. And we're sorry that we were out of line in the beginning. We didn't know the century codes. Ron showed us them. And so now we're trying to get our things in order. We have our proposal that I'll hand out. Troy asked us to do a history and sort of a financial.
Thank you.
This is what, and then there's a floor plan in there. Chairman Olson, I have a letter of support for the library, and I hand that out as well. I guess I should introduce the two people that came with us. This is Mary, and will you say your last name?
Susie.
And Sarah
Matthews.
Matthews from the State Library to answer any questions from the state that you may have. May I hand out my letter as well? at
Sure.
this point? Here, yeah, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you.
Who do I ask a question?
To Hope or I, Hope does a lot of the financial, I'm hoping Bonnie couldn't be here today. She went to Florida to see her son, who's being deployed, otherwise she'd be here too.
Okay, so I'm sure all the rest of this it's a worthy cause, but it comes down to the financial part of this.
Okay.
2015, in operating,
Which sheet are you looking at?
I'm looking at that, yes.
Okay.
The 8796, when you have contract to own, where is that contract and what dollar figure does that reflect?
That was, we purchased it through the investment company. That was their payment they had came up with. That would have been putting 100,000 down, 15 years.
Do we have that? Do you have that document together?
No.
That
We
was
didn't.
only their proposal. There's nothing.
That's
wrong
not-
with that.
That wasn't our first either.
No.
We would like to buy it outright
Yeah.
and not have to pay interest.
That's where the first column for 2015 was with us making a offer of 150 on the building.
The first column in 15?
There's two columns for
Yeah,
15.
yeah.
The first one was if we offered 150, and if they accepted, obviously that's a low offer compared to what they're asking. And then the second column was if we went with the option of contract to own. But that was only putting 100 down.
Okay, so in 2014, you had an operating budget of $84,892.19.
That's our projected as to how we'll end the year.
Okay. So then, is it fair to say that you feel that you can operate that new building for $6,000 more than the prior building? In 2015, and you have an operating budget of $90,420.
You would have to take out, because this would be our end of year number. We don't budget for donations, fundraise, grant. So all that income is not included in the 2015, which a lot of the expenses that we.
No, I'm looking at the expense side of it.
Right, so the
I'm not looking
expenses,
I'm not looking at the income side, I'm looking at the
For
expense
the
side.
building, like this expense right here that we spent in 2014 for almost 6,500, the majority of that came out of donations, fundraising, grant.
Yeah, but
So some
it's-
of our expenses that we're using to calculate what we're ending at,
What I'm saying is you budgeted $84,892 in 2014 for the expenses for the building you're currently in.
yeah,
And you're projecting $90,420 for the new building. So it's a $6,000 difference. But when you gave us the bank utility bills, which show a $19,000 just for the utilities alone in that building. How do the numbers square with that?
so the expenses, for the building fund for 2015, we only budgeted $1,000. Generally, we only budget for anything we have planned.
Mhm.
And anything we usually do, we don't take out of our general operating, that's grant money. So that's where part of that budget is less. And then the utilities, we did 12,000. We contacted Otter Tail and had them come and look at everything. They suggested putting in a different, or going electric. And then they used whatever gallons were used of fuel last year to kind of do a calculation as to how much we would save, which is how we came up with the 12,000. But that would be with the install of the new meters.
And the price of that was,
That's up in if you look at renovation, and it's like installation of off-peak heating.
Did she get a quote back yet on that?
Information, well, it's information from Otter Tail. We don't have a quote yet, but I don't think they're monthly bidding.
but
When we,
is that reflective in the 2015 expense, the renovation?
no. That would come out of some of our other funds. Savings.
So maybe I didn't state this correctly. So what you're saying by this spreadsheet here, that you can operate the new building for $6,000 more than the prior building?
There's other areas where there's cuts. If you look at equipment, for instance, in 2014, there was $4,201.11 budgeted. For 2015, there's only $500 budgeted.
I'm just looking at the bottom line.
Right.
Okay, and so it doesn't matter how you juggle this around
Right.
in here. The bottom line is, in 2014, an operating budget of $84,000.
Right.
A projected
That's it.
operating budget of $90,000 in 15.
Right.
My question is it possible to operate that new building for $6,000 more than the prior building? And shouldn't all the improvements, because they're a capital outlay, shouldn't they be included in this? They have to be included in this operating budget, because where's that money going to come from? if we don't have it included in the operating budget, where's it gonna come from?
Our savings.
Well, it appears like the savings is going to go to either be used for the purpose of the building, and part of your savings, you're classifying your budget balance from 2014 as part of your savings. I'm not sure how that works. I'm not saying it can't be done, but it has to be much more precise than we have here.
Well, the other thing would be we could show that we're gonna get more money in due to the fund. We usually have the fundraising and the donations. We don't have that in our budget anymore because of the establishment of the library.
Yep.
So part of the money where we're gonna save in expenses is equipment. Some of the renovations, they would help pay for rather than us doing the fundraising. So we also, so even though it looks like $6,000 more, we're taking out other expenses. The equipment would generally be covered by them or have grant.
Once the building becomes the property of a public entity is thereby obligated to maintain that in forever. So unless we have that budgeted, what happens if you can scoot by and own this building now, and 4 years from now it needs a new roof for $30,000?
John, can I speak to that?
Furnace.
Can I speak to that? The city owns the building we're in right now.
That's
And-
correct.
And so far, all the improvements have been made by the library by fundraising,
I know.
by grants and whatever has come up. It always works out. That's all I can say, John. It always works out.
Very, very good intent, but you cannot indebt the citizens to this unless there's a way to pay for it. That's why all building projects are done with a bond issue, so that we have dedicated funds to the project. Again, if we own the building, the county owns the building, and there's unforeseen costs that come up, and you can't cover them, then you're asking the taxpayers to cover them, because we can't let it deteriorate. So if it's going to be done, this has to be done with.
So you started asking us, will the county own the building, or the city own the building? Is that maybe the question you're asking?
Well, the contract between the merger agreement, the city owns the
The
building,
city owns the building, I understand that.
right? But how is this new building, how is it proposed to be structured?
The library would own the building. That's what we're proposing. A library would use their funds to purchase the building.
But you're using the county's money to make the down payment, right?
No, we're using the estate money and the donations we've got basically to have.
Majority of it, a portion of it would be.
I think there's
Comes
money
from
out
the
of,
county and city, yes.
money out of next year's levy being
Yes.
budgeted
Yes,
into the
there's
down
some money out
payment.
of that, yes, too.
Okay. Now, if you're
I
gonna
mean,
put
we
a,
haven't hidden anything, you can see it.
no, I'm just asking.
Mhm.
Now, they're proposing 100 kW of heat be added to that building. Do you have an electrician working on a proposal for a new service entrance and upgrading the transformers? And you can't add 100 kW heat typically to a service entrance panel without putting in a new one, because there's not capacity available to do that.
We have their request out for the quote, we just haven't gotten that one back yet.
And
Brian,
according to Auditel, they said it could be done. It was
Yeah.
not gonna be a major anything. I don't know, Bonnie would walk through with the guy from Auditel, and so
Yes, and I was there for that too. He said no issues with putting the heaters on. There was one furnace he thought would maybe need a special one, but that wasn't any different. We did the same thing at the current building.
And we don't feel like there's any major renovations, at least not at the beginning. Carpet, basically, remove tellers. And like Bonnie said, we have the Friends of the Library, people that are willing to volunteer.
Isn't there $11,000 of real estate taxes on that property annually?
The big one,
I believe so.
Yeah, 11.
Is that in the budget? Is that in the 2015 proposed budget?
We don't pay tax.
So either the city will decrease their budget by 11,000, or the taxpayers that live in the city will increase their taxes by 11,000?
I don't know, that's up to the city, I guess.
Okay,
But that's the net result.
I guess so.
absolutely.
Could be, or the city could sell the other building that we're currently in, there could be some tax on that then. It's not gonna be 11,000.
And then what goes in there, I suppose.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm against it, but we just, this has to be done. We're not talking buying a $10,000 item here. This is a big project. This has to be done professionally. It can't be, well, we might set a bake sale. We have to have the funds lined up. We have to know the true cost of what this is going to entail. And I realize time is of the essence here. The building's for sale, and if it gets sold, and I would be, before I would be comfortable with it, I would like to have a vote put for all the citizens of Griggs County.
Before we buy a building?
Absolutely.
So what are you saying, we're supposed to wait a year, or are we supposed to have a special election?
That,
In the Century Code, it says we're supposed to have a public meeting to hear the voice of the public of Griggs County.
right, but
It doesn't say anything about a special election.
it's just, you have to have a special meeting in order to then let the commissioners or the governing body vote on whether or not you want this done. The commissioners and the city council have the final vote on this.
Yes, I understand that we need your.
So I wouldn't feel comfortable authorizing public funds to be spent without knowing the true desire of the citizens of Griggs County.
And you don't think that a public hearing would be,
Well, can you get 1,200 people at that hearing?
well, no.
Okay, so in order to have a true measure of what the public intent is, I think it would be beneficial to have a public vote. And of course, if you don't agree with, if you don't get the correct outcome from the commission or the city council, you have every right to petition for a public vote and do it that way, because that's a system we live under. But I wouldn't feel comfortable just jumping at this and then trying to arrange the funds afterwards. From what I've seen here so far, it doesn't seem feasible to me. I'm only one person, and again, you have the right to ask the citizens of Griggs County, and if they support it, I support it.
Are you saying a public meeting or a public hearing, John?
No, a vote, I
You
think.
want to vote? What's the cost of a special, special election?
I'm not sure. I
Probably isn't too bad.
I think, I don't know, probably $4,000.
I suppose, yeah.
And I mean, and you don't have to go through the, I'm sure you can get I'm sure that, I would vote to authorize, or to put forward a special election if you didn't want to go through I'm only one vote, but I'm not against this. It's just that it's a big project, and if the people are gonna have to be responsible for paying for it, I think they should have a say in it.
You'd have a public hearing before you have a special vote.
You wouldn't have to, I mean, you could,
Well, how else are they going to hear the story?
Yeah, how are they gonna know what's going on?
They have to know what's going on.
You have to have a public
Well,
hearing, I
sure.
believe, per century code.
Not if it was on a
You're
ballot.
gonna do a
yeah,
special election.
if we ourselves are going to, okay, yes, that's a public hearing.
Right.
If the citizens are going to, it would entail 25% of the voters at large signing the petition, then it would have gone on the ballot, and then it would be a simple majority vote. But the commissioners could also put it on the ballot and forego the need for the petition.
Petitions and all that.
But of course, the city will have to do the same thing because of the joint
Right.
agreement.
Yeah, you both have to be in agreement.
And I mean, it's a noble plan, and it's just whether or not everybody that is going to end up paying for it or has paid for it by virtue of the savings in your accounts ended up there via public funds. Other than
That we will argue with you on, John. You guys give us enough to operate. not even buy electronic equipment. We've gotten funds from grants, Gates Foundation, Libra Foundation. I can, you know,
You've got a
have
number of
stuff.
state library grants.
State
for
library
equipment.
grants, the community foundations, more for less, you know, local funds to buy a lot of things for the library. And we will continue to do that. The money's out there.
If we hadn't given you any money, the county hadn't given you any money,
Oh,
there
I
wouldn't be
understand.
any money in the savings account.
I
So-
understand that, John. I
Okay,
mean, that's
so-
the way life is. But we're always sort of going out on a limb and trying to make things better for ourselves, for the community. And this is one way.
agree.
This has been a goal since
I-
forever.
But is it all the taxpayers' goal? And that's what we have to take into account.
Well, it's been the goal for almost everybody that's been on board, which was a representation of the tax people.
Well, let's let them vote on it.
Can we hold a public hearing first? Because obviously if there's a lot of negative input at the public hearing, it may not be worth the cost of having either a special.
Well,
meeting or-
you're free to advertise tomorrow and have a public hearing on this, and you're free to load that public hearing with only the good side of this project.
Well, no, I would asking that the county hold an official public
I
hearing.
guess we'd
on it.
like you to be a part of it, so
Well,
you
I-
can hear what people have to say.
I wouldn't, myself, I wouldn't feel comfortable calling a public hearing and then presenting them with this information, because it's not gonna be in your, it's not gonna be in your benefit. If we can't show some path forward. I mean,
So what are you proposing that we would need to show?
well, Diane could probably help you with that. I mean, you've been through a lot of these projects.
Yeah. I guess I really would, probably needs to be more clear than what it is. An awful lot of numbers there, and that tends to confuse the issue.
Well, right, and this was more for just
Yeah,
Here.
yeah.
here.
But and I had looked at that too, and I guess I looked at a picture of it, so. But I think you can go over it and probably make it more clear as to what you're doing and what you've got. And perhaps pull in what, you know, the Friends of the Library has and does. They haven't got a lot of money, but I mean, we do support the library with it. So.
These numbers are all proposed on $150,000 purchase price of the building.
The first column is, the second column is not.
The
loan
184,
payment.
if you had to buy it at 184,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
One other question, the passbook savings 2014, that's what's left in the operating budget for 2014, isn't it?
No, that's previous fundraising, trying to keep the accounts separate. The passbook saving one would be current operating.
Okay.
Passbook saving 3 is just
Okay, so,
savings from donations from
yeah,
boards.
so really the total cash on hand, you'd have to subtract out the 2015 operating of 52,000, 35,000 operating from this year, because that is used in operating, it's not gonna be a surplus. So really the cash on hand is now $137,000.
Actually, because we don't have to. Originally, the library has always put away a whole year of operating funds. That's always been a goal, to always be able to operate one additional year. Most libraries do not operate like that. They would operate more like a county or city, and as funds come in, as 2015 tax revenue comes in, that's what you use in your budget. So there's nothing that says you have to save that for 2015 budget. We could use the tax money that comes in 2015 as our operating. Our goal would be to obviously save and build that fund back up so we still have that extra year.
But that doesn't play out here if you look back in your prior budgets. Your expenses almost always come close to your income in the past years. I mean, if you go 2011, you carried forward $5,000. In 2012, you lost $2,000. 13, you carried forward $14,000. you're projecting 19,000 carry or 17,000 this year. So you can't be carrying a full year's budget when you end up spending all the money in any one year. That's not possible.
No, we have it in savings. This is our current cash right now in our budget. The money coming in, that's what we're gonna get in next year.
Mm-hmm. And that's for next year.
We aren't going to actually spend that next year. We're gonna put it in savings for the following year.
We already have money to operate for next year.
We are really 1 year ahead. Which it's been like that. You're not gonna see it accumulate for the last 10 years because it's been like that for forever. I mean, it went way back further than they've always. The money that comes in 2015 tax money, they save for 2016.
I think it has to do with
When entities that operate on tax dollars, that's not typically how it's done. If you have a whole year's worth of operating in your bank account, you shouldn't even ask for a levy next year. That's how the world works in the government world.
They had it when the other levies were asked.
And the reason for that is because if you don't do it that way, the taxpayers are paying more taxes than they need to provide the services to the citizens that are provided.
I know, that's an interesting concept. I don't know, we'd have to ask the people that put the library together the first time, and most of them aren't around or able to speak to us.
Was it you?
No, it wasn't you.
It was
If you
like
look at
that.
the first people that signed in 1975, it's in your thing. I do not know why or how.
Well, there's more than one person that doesn't understand how it's supposed to work, Marla. I mean, go to the school.
I know. When I got on the board, I did not understand the finances either because it was like,
Right.
how can you do this?
Right.
But they set it up that way when they put the thing together between the county and the city. That was their goal. I do not know how they did it. And my mother-in-law, if you notice, is one of the signers. She was the president one, but she would not be able to tell me today how they did
Right.
it.
I'm just saying I
agree.
And,
We were shocked.
that is amazing.
Mhm.
But it was like that.
It's a
when
good goal if
the mill was
you're making
voted
your
on.
own money and putting it in your own savings account, but it's not when you're levying it from somebody else.
I agree, but like I said, it was when they went to the vote of the people, it was like that then also.
Yep. And they must have known it.
Were you waiting for me to say that, John, or were you?
No, and the other thing is, it's very specific that once you decide to build the building, that all the money's got to be transferred out of your operating into a building fund. So it can't be reside in both places. So if you decide to do this, you have to be able to put your hands on that amount of cash at that point, put it in the building fund, and then it stays in the building fund, it can never revert back to the operating also. So it is a dedicated building fund in one at that time. You find it here and read it to you, but
Okay, it's a century code. Is it that or is that tax and budget?
it's under it's 403805.
Mhm.
After such hearing, the governing body of a city or county may establish by resolution a library building fund for the purpose of construction, enlargement, alteration of a building, for the purchase of an existing building to be used as a public library. The city auditor or county treasurer shall place in the library building fund all monies for such purposes as may be appropriated by the governing body or received for such purposes from the federal, state, county, city, or private sources. The library building fund shall not revert to the general library fund or the general library fund of the city or the county without authorization by formal resolution from both the library board's directors and the governing bodies of both city and county.
Does it may do that?
So there's not a possibility to use next year's operating funds for this project because you will have no operating funds for next year. It's not a possibility to take this year's operating funds and put them into the library fund. It has to be all into the library fund, and there it stays forever till it's spent.
Right.
Yeah. So,
We
I mean,
understood that.
okay.
We can take what we have put aside for next year's operating because we have
We have operating.
this money coming in for next year's operating also.
Mm-hmm.
So we
So
know
that's-
we can
yeah.
operate.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we'd be able to put that money into a building fund.
Well, again, yeah, I wasn't saying you wouldn't be able to. I'm saying that it's very specific how it's done.
Right, it would just be in the purchase price.
Hmm?
We would just put the money in for the purchase price.
Mm-hmm. For the,
Yeah.
purchase price,
For
yeah.
the purchase price, yeah.
The maintenance of it can come out, or the
Has to
operation
come
can
out
come
of
out.
where we can.
Yeah.
So can you put together a proposal that outlines all this and gives the ability to show how you're gonna cover the cost of the furnace, the cost of the reservation, the cost of the move, the future operating costs, putting together monies for future repairs and improvements to the building. So it's an actual structured budget so that you can show it to the citizens and they can say, yeah, you're right, that'll work, and we'll vote for that. If not, you're gonna have a real tough battle. Because people are gonna ask a lot tougher questions than we are.
No, and I feel we can put that together.
I mean, the people okay, I'm all behind it.
You mean in about vote to keep?
That's how I would feel comfortable. Well, that's only me, I mean,
I know we haven't heard from the rest.
that's how I feel comfortable.
I'd like
They
to
can
hear
ask
from
the
the
questions,
rest.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think so too. If you have your meeting first, it gets a feel of what people feel first.
Mhm.
The public meeting.
Yeah. I mean, definitely if the public said they don't want a new building, we're not gonna go forward with the new building.
Yes, so I mean, we do need their financial support also for our fundraising efforts to do some of the renovations that aren't necessarily a need, but that we would want to do down the road.
But I didn't think for a public meeting, John's right, he needs probably a little more direction where your finances are. And,
This was just a very.
but, yeah, earlier.
When you're meeting from the 12th
Well,
to 10th, then.
yeah, you guys gave us a week less.
Yeah, I agree, it should be a public hearing, but I'm not convinced yet that we have everything we need, so. And I'm not, I couldn't tell you exactly what you do need, but what Diane said is it could probably be put together better, and then do a public hearing.
Well, then it's kind of up to the board as to when they want to do a public hearing, is that what you're saying?
What do you think?
Well, that's my opinion, I'm going to
So as soon as get the information together, and do you want to pass you and the city council before we do the public
What's
meeting?
the city's feeling?
Oh, yeah, we have a meeting on Monday.
Well,
I guess, just me, myself, I'd just like to see one meeting held in the city county, so we don't have to do this multiple times. And then I'm not sure how, I don't know if the city would hold, what?
I think they're just talking in public meetings to get out what we need.
Right, I'm saying I don't want to have two different meetings, one city, one county, one together.
but yeah,
Yeah.
one public.
One
One
public
One
hearing.
public hearing, yes.
Yeah.
And I doubt it would be till the first week.
Yeah, we were looking
That's
at
this question,
mid-January.
everything that goes on in the world.
Yeah.
That'll give you
Is
time
what
to
we were
get
hoping for,
a
yes,
little
to
bit
make it
of
very nice.
direction, what your finances
Yes.
are gonna look like.
That would give us time to present something a little bit more formal at your guys' next meeting.
That's the 12th.
Or
19th?
19th, I think.
Okay. Look at that, good.
Cities, I think.
Cities is Monday.
There was no 12th meeting, I don't think.
The 12th was me making a mistake.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, it was supposed to be.
okay, okay, I knew that was supposed to be,
I don't know where I dropped that up. That was,
That's the response.
Ron called me on that.
Somebody asked me.
Have you, ever looked at the service entrance in that building?
For electrical?
Yeah.
Not really. Isn't really an issue.
Is it three-phase?
Well, I don't know. I just haven't paid attention, haven't had to deal with it. I know there's a lot of power down there. On boxes.
Well, the switchgear on any commercial building is
Yeah, I just don't know what.
full of air most of the time, but
We don't deal with the utilities at all. That's all those are big and the rest.
I was just curious because if they're going to put four 25 kW plenimeters in there, that's 400 amps. I mean, that's big. If it's only a 120, 240 volt service, maybe it's
Yeah, I just think.
maybe it's 277, 480 or something, three phase. I don't know. I just didn't want a surprise down the road. Because it's not very hard to look at it.
It's probably been done already, but I don't know if it looks away, but what happens if you is the floor okay for putting all that weight in there?
Oh my God.
Yeah, she didn't, it's not as included in that, but yes, we did.
I have it.
Okay.
Okay.
She said she didn't put it in the package. I don't know. I don't know if she got it later. But
You had somebody look at it?
not really look at it. Renaissance Engineering went to the people, you can read the thing, I don't know the whole deal, that did the building.
No, I'm
There are very specific requirements when you're doing a library building for load bearing for books.
correct.
And so if the engineers looked at it,
I mean, I don't know how much it weighs per square foot, but it's gotta be heavy.
Yeah, and I think that report is for the north part of the building, right? Yeah, and it looks like you're not putting any books on the south part. Because I don't think the south part would stand alone, these guys are
Well,
large.
part of it probably would because the safe is up there. on top
Well,
of it.
The vault
It had
must
to
go all the
It
way.
had to be reinforced for the safe, right?
Well, the vault usually goes right into the basement. It goes all the way down into the ground.
Yeah, there's just some real like large ones right here.
They build the vault and then they build the building around it, I think, kind of.
Yeah, it looked like it. But yeah, what they say, where you have all the heavy books,
Yes.
it would understand that 150-pound
In
deal.
the back.
Exactly.
I run it that you should ask that. In the governor's budget proposal that was just done on Monday, the state library had requested money for libraries for maintenance and renovation projects. There is a $250,000 currently in our budget. Of course, the legislators have to approve that budget. But that it'll be a match. We're working on what the match is going to be. For our smaller libraries, it will be less than for our larger libraries. So there is a possibility that a portion of the renovations could come out of grant funds. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that. We have no idea what the demand for that $250,000 is going to be, but there is a possibility.
None of that could be used though for the purchase of the grant.
Not for the purchase, it's for maintenance, or not maintenance, but renovation and repair projects. So we do not have any grant money available for library, but I wish we did because there's need out there in our communities, but.
The majority of our renovations, and I don't know if she put that, would be covered by volunteer.
That's in there, yeah.
The majority of the expense would just be the flooring, and then the heaters. The only flooring we'd be doing is where that tower line comes out. looking at doing something or whatever's underneath there.
Do you have any more concerns that we need to address? That we should,
I have a
before we
question.
go-
Just because
Anybody?
I need to ask a dumb question because
Probably not.
No dumb questions.
I'm not afraid. Because of the fact that, we attempt at least to represent all the county taxpayers. Do you know how many people, like different, like individuals use the library
I
here?
think you have that in here.
It's in the packet.
It is in your packet. It tells you how many people walk in. They keep a record of that.
I know, but it doesn't tell you if Diane went there every day, she's 350 people. I mean, that's what I meant. I meant like a representation of how many of the, if we have 2,100
All I can tell you is
taxpayers.
that they still take books out to Binford and to the different places in Cooperstown, the schools. The only place they don't is Hanford, because Hanford can't come up with a place to put them. They used to do it at the C-store, and when Carol retired, there was nobody that wanted to take care of it, so. And they have gone to mailing books out to people that can't access books. Our biggest thing is on the internet. You can access free books on the internet. We are part of it, and I will not come up with the name. Overdrive, yeah. Where if you have an e-reader computer, you can get books for free. Check them out. Basically, the bookmobile went to the electronic.
I was just curious because that would be a nice
I don't think that they have.
number to know that, but I know
Well, you could.
I didn't think it would be an easy one to come up with, but
You could see, they could tell you who has a library card, who's walked in the library and accessed the library throughout the years, and I'm sure they could look and say they took out so many books in this year, that's all reported.
I will
Books are taken out.
say though, some of that information has to follow the privacy laws.
Right.
So there's some information we can share in a
Well,
sort of a large.
I don't need
you know,
your
in a
social
large.
security number. I just wanted a statistic.
But I will say that's a really hard one, because when they started libraries, it was for people that didn't have the money to build their own libraries in their homes. I mean, many of us could do without probably a public library. We buy our own books.
Yeah.
I will admit that. I mean, if I want something and the library can't afford to buy it, I'll probably buy it and then donate it to the library. But there's many people that don't have a computer and don't have access to books.
Well, and that would
They-
that would give me
they
some
just-
idea of how many of those people there are.
Yeah, and
Because
don't-
I agree with you. If I want to read a book, I just buy it.
Yeah, a lot of
There-
people do that these days.
I believe there were 649 cardholders. I currently left that sheet that I have that information from the annual report. I know in the second page of my letter, there were some statistics in there. They answered 1,100 reference questions last year. That's a high number for a community the size that Griggs County is serving. And the number that impressed me the most is the programs. From 2011 to 2013, which are the most recent stats we have, we'll get the 2014 stats in a couple of months. Your public library almost doubled the number of people coming to their programs. They're just shy of doubling that number. To double that number in 2 years is a pretty staggering thing. So there's obviously a need in the community that's being met, being served. I know it doesn't answer your question, Chairman, about how many of your county members are using the library, or if it's Diane using the library 350 times a year. But the circulation numbers are increasing, as you can see from the report that Bonnie gave you in the packet. Ebook use is increasing for your library as well. It is your ebook numbers increase every year, and I didn't include that in my letter. I included the circulation numbers.
You won't get those statistics till the end of the year. But
Right.
I think one of the biggest things coming is historical. People that are looking for their people that they're related to, and articles and all that. And we do. Bonnie has worked with the Historical Society on a lot of that. I knew that. And I've tried.
but I think it's all very worthy cause.
It's just trying to balance the use of public funds to fund a service that isn't used by all the public. Where do you draw that
I
line?
don't know, that's a hard one.
That,
I don't use all the roads in Griggs County either, you know, and I would love to have one paved, that's why my house right now. And I don't think it's gonna happen, the state doesn't wanna do it.
you know, I know, we go from one extreme, you know, we can go where here's a service that everybody uses, to a service that only a few people use. We have limited amount of dollars. How do we arrive at that? And I think the only fair way to arrive at that is to let the people decide by a vote where they want their money to go.
And I guess the board is coming from the fact that that has been the top, a building has been, a new expanded building has been the top goal from the very beginning. When we go through the goals, which they've had to do throughout the years, that has been the #1 goal. So that's where we're coming from. We feel like we are doing what people that were on the board and constituency wants, I guess.
Well, the board.
I mean, the
isn't
constituency
elected. The board isn't
changes.
elected at
Well, we're not
large.
elected,
It's not elected
we
at large.
volunteer.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not all of us, some of us are elected.
Some of them are.
I did not volunteer.
Not a true representation of the constituency.
We don't even go there.
So, no, I think it's a good idea, but like I said, without the public support, I can't.
Well, we will thank you for your time, and we will go back and do what you asked us.
If you need any help with anything, I'm glad to help. Whatever you need.
Well, Bonnie moved back on the 15th. Like I said, they went to see their son off. She could not stay for this. So, she wishes she could have.
I will say she agonized over not being here. I spoke with her at length, but her son's deploying for a year out on a ship in the middle of the way yonder, and you know that kind of took a little bit of precedence over this. So
So they are going there. But, yep, we will go back. We understand where you're coming from.
Good luck.
Thank you.
thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thank you.
And thanks for the good weather for our drive out here. Well, I'm going to give him credit for it.
We'll wait and see if they'll get a hold of us if they get what the information put together. But I don't know that they need to be on the next agenda if they don't have their some more information.
I'll move back here,
They'll
Bob.
let us know that. He's gonna move so
Throwing anything at your head, honest.
he's gonna move so you gotta look at it.
I have to admit, it makes me a little nervous having you sit behind me. But
Come on, John.
we don't got a Billy Plumber up there. I guess I can
Who were
probably
those two young ladies?
Hope Statler and
One that was answering all the financial advice.
Illinois from the state library.
The other was the state.
yeah, she was lady.
Two of them are from the state library.
Oh, I
I make a
see.
motion. We take a. You want to take a break? Take a 10-minute break.
Been moved and seconded that we take a 10-minute break. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes, just barely.
Okay, so it was, and then you seconded?
Sure.
Okay.
No,
No,
I just said aye.
John.
I second.
Okay.
Bob seconded. I'm sorry, I should have.
You're okay.
I got lazy again. But now that you mention it,
What are the temperatures in Colorado?
very quite a bit. I mean, that cold front came in and it dropped 20 degrees, I suppose, 20 above.
But nicer than here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably 20 degrees longer than here. I think the day I left, it had gotten up to 68 that day, but then the next day, the high was going to be 40 degrees cooler.
When my son was down in Shreveport in the Air Force, he said they get down to 50 degrees, and then people just suffer and you have parkas on.
Well, yeah, I was in South Texas one time. It does get cold. It's so humid.
Yeah, he said the humidity was terrible.
Yeah, and when it gets cold, it's that humid.
Yeah.
It was 50 degrees.
You know what?
In South Texas, when it gets down to 50 degrees, I feel about as cold as I do up here in 10 below.
That guy was coming trying to kick me out of the other house today. So good luck. I'm not helping you. I got no authority.
Here's your cup and
The only thing is
And I
that
said, you lay hands on me,
any
you're
box
really
stuff, just make sure that you sign in.
Well, you can't understand what it says either.
I'll just sit right there and sign in.
That day after the sale,
Good girl.
he said something.
Did you
I couldn't understand,
double
so I
check
just
those
kept
things?
on like, whatever it is.
I haven't double checked them, I'm gonna wait for Monday.
I didn't know what he said.
But that's okay.
I started looking at doing the spreadsheet
But they're turning water up there.
and plugging in
Yeah, I
the
heard
numbers.
that.
I just took what was in the computer, because that's all done, right?
In the computer?
Those numbers, yeah.
I do believe so.
I started
But
plugging
he
those
can't do
into
that
that
either. He
spreadsheet.
can't legally do it,
So I
so.
was thinking if we both did that, we can
City
do the
attorney.
comparison now, right?
Okay. You'll just have to.
He's anyway.
Yeah.
Look for
Huh?
He's behind it.
But yeah, I went through and now all I have to do is get in contact with Kelly about the program of that. And then
Yeah. Okay.
Bob, are you gonna need this folder by any chance, this DOT folder?
I should just.
How do you like that?
It's,
Is it working?
yeah.
Really? Think of the time that'll save you.
Before you leave, I need a copy of the sheets that were handed out.
A 3-week wait.
Pick up other defects that went on.
The toilet in the master bathroom was leaking between the tank and the base.
Went to Fargo in the morning and pull in after years.
The seal must.
Probably, yeah. What are you doing in the pool? When I get done, I'll call Brian.
What?
When I get done, I'll call Brian.
Okay.
for a minute, I thought one of these guys was Bourdain, but I don't think it was that. Call the meeting back to order. Bob, page 19.
Hey, I just did you a little handout there, on the front page, there's two things that will require action that's top two on those contracts, and there's just two FYIs, and on the back page is some stuff on the top. So, I guess we start with the jail contract. The jail contract with Stutzman has been like an automatic renewal, and every time they do a price increase, then they send out new contracts. They went up from 60 to 65. Barnes County went to 65 last year. That's who we have our two contracts with, are those two counties. So if we don't have the contract with them, they'll pay $75 a day versus 65. And like in Fargo and Grand Forks, they pay like 80. Fargo, it goes between 80 and 90. But we've had that contract since we finally came with Stutzman County. There's no other cost involved in the contract, it's a one for one. If we have a prisoner there for a day, we pay for a day. There's no admin fees or anything else, it's just straight boarding costs.
That's the contract that he's talking about now.
I was just gonna write Griggs in there.
I guess on the contract chair role, but the only other things is that we get precedence over and on. If they have to get prisoners moved out to the facility, ours are last to go, who's got a contract, so. Last year, a couple times, Valley City and Jamestown were both full, but they had to take prisoners to Devil's Lake and once to Rugby.
Are we in the asking questions?
You got a question?
Yeah, the deputy opening, who are we?
I think we're talking about this contract right now.
Oh,
Just to renew this contract with Stutzman County Correctional Center for them to house our prisoners if we have any. And the reason that we have it in front of us is because the price is going up $5 a day.
Is it good for a year? It's an annual contract? It's like a self-renewal annual. And then the only time that we've ever got a vendor to do something like this is if they've raised their prices or there's been some over change to their process or something that affects us.
we don't have much choice, do we? We don't have anywhere else to put it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it just costs us more if we don't, so it's pretty common sense, I guess, cut and dry, straightforward.
Right, but we need to act on it nevertheless.
I move we sign the contract with Stutzman County.
Been moved by Sean that we approve this ongoing contract with Stutzman County with a $5 per day increase from $60 to $65 a day. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Do you want this?
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
Smith?
I'll take it back, I'll make copies of it.
Will you get a copy to me?
Yep, we'll do it, I'll email it to you. Right, note here quick.
Oh. DOT contract?
Yeah, we estimated before the contract came back, that was gonna be 9,000, it's like 6,000 and some change, I believe, I haven't looked at it now since I brought it up here 2 months ago or something. Same contract we've used the past 3 years, 4 years. And accordingly, I won't spend the extra overtime just because it's there. That was increased because of this, so. And with that DOT contract, you know, there's times we do use that to backfill if someone's gotta be gone or something. It, you know, it just helps a little bit here and there. Overtime paid by that contract and grant versus taxpayer dollars, right? Local taxpayer dollars.
So this is the DOT, or the, what do they call it? DUI task force membership?
You know, underage drinking. Yeah. Funny for that, so. And you know how it works, like once a quarter, there's a window where they want you to perform. Enough for us, it's 2 shifts. And that was between December 1st and I think the day after Christmas or something like that. We're supposed to have 2 shifts in. And those are whenever I dictate when that happens. They just have a window where they want something done, you know, on that process. So.
Title 6.
And I guess I'd ask you if you guys would act on that DOT contract today, because it's all into the performance period of the contract, basically, and get it back to them either way. You guys want to look at this?
No, I'm fine. I understand it. Jamie's looked at it?
I haven't. I'm thinking it's probably the same as the one I looked at in Nelson County.
Yeah, it would be, Jamie. It's the same contract. Every county state uses the same one.
What are your wishes?
Well, as long as Jamie's in agreement, I move that we accept the DOT contract.
There's no problem with it. It's a standard contract.
Moved by John Wakefield to approve the DOT contract. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carried. Okay.
Once the DOT gets that back, they will sign that for a complete signed copy back to the commissioners. Next I had on my list there, just, you know, there's the deputy opening, put an ad in for that. Taking applications till the 29th. See what comes in. I know 6 that are coming for sure. Oh, job opening for the deputy. I know there's already 6 out. I've already got 4 resumes, so I know there's 6 coming in for sure, and whatever else comes talk that's been advertised.
Rookies?
A couple are, but most aren't.
Do we know if we have a job opening?
What's that?
Do we know if we have a job opening?
It's going to be official probably tomorrow.
Oh.
All he has to know was one last piece of information to make sure, so I'm gonna have his date tomorrow.
Oh, Justin, you mean?
Yeah, Justin, he got hired by Goodhue County, which is Red Wing, Minnesota. So with his vacation stuff, he potentially could be out of here probably on the 23rd, going over there, and I think his start date there is the 5th of January or something. But
Okay.
so hiring process is not that great. It's not that fun. Hard to find experienced applicants, but there's some want to come here. So, and I put that footnote on there in italicized with the 2 months since Terry's passed, and for the month of January, we're looking at about just about $10,000 of wages that won't be paid out, and plus the ancillary expenses that go along with that. So, realistically, February 1st is probably about the soonest I'm gonna get something in place. There's one that may be able to start earlier. By the time new backgrounds and all that, it just takes that much time. The background's really become crucial too when it comes to the state IT business. That's where it comes into play with the systems that we access.
A little bit tough to call that a savings though when we were supposed
Well,
to.
I'm not saying it's
When we were supposed to be down to
Yeah.
2 deputies 6
Actually,
months
John, I
ago.
looked at that word and I thought John's going to say something about it. Yeah, but it's,
Yeah, pretty hard to get by that
Yeah.
one.
So I guess that's that. And I'll keep you guys appraised on that as we go through that process.
City still pondering?
Yeah, they were supposed to meet Monday night, and Monday sometime they canceled that meeting until the 8th. People involved tentative, but they said it's the unofficial offer. They were looking for offer $40,000 for 40 hours a week of service. And they asked if that is the case, that we would perform those ordinance duties within that 40 hours. If there is ordinance duties, if they ever get that completed. So that's just an FYI until Monday. I don't know anything else further than that. Other than I footnote there too, I think if you had to do anything contract, you should be a 1 year or else some pretty strong language about reviewing it if it comes out where it's not in the county's interest. Something. So. Then I guess the big one on the day for my schedule is it is what it is. It's cost grant. Steele County called from their meeting Tuesday inquiring, and I just told them that you guys are meeting today, and there's been no official decision made on it by the board. obviously I feel strongly about the cops grant for several reasons. I put those dollars here on paper, I guess. It appears these things basically come down to money, so that's where we're at with this. But I think it's in your packet, I got a notice from the cops grant office. We're kind of delinquent on accepting the cops grant. But I talked this morning, I told them there's going to be discussions today on it. I would know, finalize that, whatever, either way on Monday. And they're okay with that. I also asked if I could ask to have my award increased to cover the additional things that were left out. And the gal I was supposed to talk to is not there till Monday, but they said they've done that in the past. So,
What's that? What additional?
well, it was the retirement that we had wrong in the application. I just got the wrong numbers, and so those numbers we used in the process. So. So I'll just leave it here. I think the cops contract is beneficial for the citizens of Griggs and for the office and for the overall picture here. I know the money is a situation, it always is in these processes. This isn't just always about just the basic dollars, there's other things involved here. I spelled them out, and I'm asking you guys to take action on it today while we're there so I can move forward off this. We've talked about this round and round. If there's questions, I can try and answer those for you. Or
Well, we won't really know what the costs are until Monday.
well, it's going to be this or less. I mean, we're either going to get what we have now allotted, or potentially $5,000-6,000 more per annual to cover that retirement and anything else I can put in. But they're not going to cover the ancillary costs like cars and gas. They did that first year round. If you're awarded the grant, then you have to apply for a second assistance grant, and they only did that the 1 year. I think it was a nightmare, and they never came back around again. So, Steele County made it very clear they're on board. As it was, Dave has met with them, and so they're just waiting for your answer. So, as is, I suppose I am.
Well, I just had a couple of things to say, and I'll stay out of it after that. Unusual, but I agree with your first one. It's $1 for every. We get $1 for every $1.64 we spend. Because it's the glass half full, the glass half empty. I mean, the money for the policing contract from Cooperstown, in my opinion, when we did the budgets, was to support the 2 deputies, the office deputy and the sheriff. It was never put into the budget for the cops grant, and the proof of that is we didn't budget for a cops grant. We didn't budget the 25%. And the only other thing I'll say about it is, if we accept the cops grant, we are obligating a future county commission to assign funds to cover our obligations that we make here. And that's not the way the budgeting process is supposed to work. It's supposed to work, if we accept the cop grant, we should have budgeted the money for the 4th year this year and carried it forward each time. Because if we accept this, we're obligating
Future.
Yeah. And then I told Bob, that's it, I'm done now, so I won't put up any more disagreements.
But you also do that with a bond.
Hmm?
You do that with a bond issue. Of course,
Bond issue has Yep.
Yeah, some of my acceptance of the cop garage was based on the city's commitment paying a fee, but if it's only 1 year, then we're kind of right back in the same situation there too.
See, the city's looking for multiple years. They want to extend this out past 1 year. I'm just saying, I think it would be in our interest that we at least review it after year 1, so make sure the city or the county's not into something where it's actually going backwards you know, on some increment of funding.
Right, but the city is gonna decrease their commitment from 60 to 40.
That's tentatively unofficial draft.
We don't know that.
Monday night's gonna be the final.
So,
They're asking for a full-time position, they're asking for 40 hours a week.
but they can't have that for $40,000.
It costs $84,000 according to what the estimate that we put forward.
Well, I can tell you when they had their police department, it was costing them $88,000, and then had gone right around to $100,000 when they did this contract. It went down that first year was $45,000, and it's gone up, you know, every 2 or 3 years. I mean, it hasn't gone up annually. It's been so.
It's been what,
I know
6-7 years since they've had it.
My point is, Bob,
God, since 2000.
if they'll reduce their commitment from 60,000 to 40,000, there's a slim chance that this group is going to commit 40 hours a week to policing within the city, because they're only covering half the cost of that person.
Okay, when you say this group, what are you talking about?
The county commissioner.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you're not, if I could do that. Well, yeah, we do that now. You know.
But see, maybe I'm wrong, but they're asking for services that you don't, that aren't required by the sheriff currently. They're asking you, because you have to take care of any other laws that pertain to the county or the federal, state. So they're asking for city ordinances to be enforced.
Within their city limits.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
And patrol 6 hours a day.
Yeah, 65 hours a day right now. Yep.
But aren't, as county residents, don't they get the same treatment as anybody else? They're entitled to the same amount of patrol hours per person as somebody living in the country. So if we're providing 40 hours a week to the city to take care of their ordinances, aren't we, the county then supplementing the city with services that the other residents don't receive?
That's been the whole situation all along here, John.
Okay.
I mean, the city of Cooperstown is a municipality. It's their responsibility to provide law enforcement within their city limits. That's just the way it is. And whether they choose to do it through a contract with the county sheriff, like many communities have gone to, or they have their own police department, it falls on them. There's things that I do in Cooperstown I don't do anyplace else. I don't take care of dogs anywhere else in Cooperstown. I don't take care of all the little minutia BS that goes on day after day. I mean, it isn't just, it's not black and white like it is on paper. It's not, but it comes down to money. And that's why all along here, at first, I wasn't sure where you guys as a commission sat on this, because I was kind of getting the feeling there initially in this that, well, I should just be doing that for nothing. Well, it's not me doing it for nothing. It's the county doing it for nothing. I just happen to be in the driver's seat of the boat right now. You know, before Paul was, before that, there was another sheriff, and after me, it'll be somebody else. So, if it comes down to what you guys think is fair, what should the county be paid for this? I mean, I can perform the duties. That's the mechanical part that I really steer. The money part comes down to you guys.
For the city policing contract, did you do those things then?
For the city?
Yeah.
No, the city had.
I know, but did the policing contract come immediately the year after Alan Howard left? Or
The policing
was there a
contract,
gap there? Or?
The policing contract came and Alan Howard left. The contract came first.
So it's cohesive.
Yeah, they were going to have a police department, I think it was 2000 or 2001. Then they approached the county and the sheriff about this, and they said, yeah, we'll do this, and then Alan Howard left.
And that's when we got another hit.
That's when we got Bob Rude was the one that came with us. Yeah, because Gillespie had just left previously to that.
So given all that, if we're going to provide a full-time deputy, 40 hours is full-time.
Full-time price.
That was my take from the start, and I kind of got watered down with this group and that group. So I mean, I've been on the same line here all along. It should have stayed at 60,000, but it was like there were some concessions or some cave-in being made here, and the city got kind of feeling empowered by that.
63. Well, we got total expenses.
Total, that's 84,000, I think, is the total.
And I wasn't part of those dynamics, all the discussions took place, because they didn't take place here.
Yeah.
I don't know where all that. how that got started with this.
Well, if the
reduced
city wants to spend less money, they can do that. All I'm saying is,
Yep.
Just
they
divide
lowered
that by-
to $40,000,
years.
you're probably gonna get half of that, they're not gonna get all of it.
Yeah, because there was talk about,
And then on top of that, that will influence me
67.
on how many
114.
people we need in the department.
67,
So
114.
with that said, Bob, I don't know how I can make a decision today based on decisions that haven't been made by others that need to make those decisions before we can make a plan.
okay, I can ask cops for extension on just, a week or two if that's what you guys need. I can do that. 'Cause
Well, that's
Monday nights
that's
is
me.
I can vote today.
yeah, I know what you're going. We can talk about it.
What happened to the county commissioners and the city getting together and working on this plan?
John and I.
We've been trying that. They don't have meetings. They don't talk about it.
Nothing's happened.
I've asked Welton every week since this started, and I've
This
asked
has been
others.
going on for a long time.
Well,
This has never happened in the
it's
past.
over a month ago. You and I met with them.
Yeah, the last time I was in Bismarck, you guys were there. That's been a month ago.
And they could
I think this
Table,
table,
table.
buried dam and shit, that was in September.
Yeah, well, it was supposed to be done in July, but
They were gonna try and have a meeting Wednesday, last night after our hazmat meeting, and then they decided not to do that because of various reasons, so here we sit. If you wanna table it, let me know and I'll make some
That's
calls.
what my decision was based on, I guess, for accepting the grant. So right now, I have to say no.
See, in the past, the county has offered or proposed the city what they needed for this. And this year, that got thrown up in the air and tossed around, and
well, I think it got tossed around in an attempt to get them on board. They're not on board with 60,000, so it was going to go away. So it certainly wasn't the county influencing them to reduce it. It was trying to reduce the cost, but still have something to try to influence the cops grant portion of this. And I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, it's quite obvious you guys are either gonna table this or you're gonna act on it today. If you table it, is there a dollar amount you want me to let them know that you're looking at? That's how it's been done in the past.
Maybe that's how we should approach this.
That's all.
If they
Got it
are,
right here.
if they would like 40 hours a week, then I think they
I guess that
should
includes
pay
Steele
for
County's
one
administration
deputy
costs in there.
with the
No,
salary
put that
level,
on it.
Oh,
or, with
At
all
200
expenses.
Raise
$60,000.
total participation.
We're not charging them office
Participation.
rent. I mean,
No, right.
they're still
Yeah,
getting a
no,
benefit.
that's not,
Very
that's
good
just the total.
so that was it, so 67, 114.
$1.20 an hour.
Right.
Well, that would provide wheels.
That's what my take all along.
You know.
We came up with that figure initially because that's what it took back in 2001 or 2002 was 45,000 the salary level, and what we took the city's expenses for the police department and what they were talking about their needing. I helped Paul with that a little bit. He took care of most of it, and it's gone up accordingly with salary increases and whatever.
Well, the cost $67,000. Basically, we calculated all those expenses when we did it. 35,000 for the wage, patrol car, repairs, and health insurance, retirement.
Well, I would propose that somebody put that in the form of a motion. You know, that if the city is requesting a certain level of service, that it be based on that salary level or that cost for a 40-hour-a-week service. Something less than that would be
Prorated.
pro rata share of that. If that, I mean, I don't know.
Okay, how does
I don't know how you can do
just
that.
one question for my clarification then? If we do it that way, and we're using, let's see how I'm gonna say this. Are we using the COP grant as part of that equation? Because then we're if we use that as part of the equation,
COPS grant.
they're only getting half a person.
I think
So I just want to make sure that we weren't going down that road. Because they'll say, well, if it's for a COPS grant, then that person is going to spend 50% of their time in Steele County. How are we getting?
Depending on how much service the city would like, that will determine whether or not we need that deputy through the cops grant.
At the fair session.
So to me, the cops grant is independent of the cost structure to the city for that service.
I considered whatever the city was going to put into this budget for this year as part of the budget less the cops grant, because we didn't budget for the cops grant. I assumed $60,000 was going to come in, and that's what I used in my budget calculations for 2015. I didn't say that. I didn't personally think that when $60,000 come in, we would use that to go add on another cost. And we were faced with the same thing at budget time. They couldn't make up their mind, couldn't have made up their mind. So in my mind anyway, I just thought, well, we're either going to be at this point or we're going to have $60,000 less to carry over to the next year. I never envisioned that the acceptance of the COPS grant would then lead us to this. I didn't hinge the two together.
I don't either.
So
And based off our conversations, that's the same way.
Yeah, so I would be better. I would feel really well if we had 2 deputies, a sheriff, and an office deputy, and Cooperstown paid us $67,000. That would be my ultimate. That would be my ultimate scenario, but that's just mine.
So I guess all I'm asking is, if there's direction I need to take to the city council previous to that meeting, I need to know what it is. What do you want, as far as dollar amount or something, I mean, that's the number you want me to give?
That's what it costs us.
And I don't know how you can prorate it. They'll just say, okay, give us $40,000 worth of work, and how do you do that?
Right. When those first discussions took place, 60,000 was the number, and they were like, okay with that. And then I don't know how
That
things
was
got watered
probably
down.
I mean, if you back off for inflation and everything, that was very right in the ballpark.
Yeah.
Oh, so yes.
You mean back when the contract started?
Well, no, I mean when it was finally 60. It wasn't 60 to start with, correct?
No, it started all at 40, 45.
And that was probably about right back.
Yeah, the way it was, that kind of was.
Yeah. As it's gone along, it's probably been awfully close. I would say it's kind of.
Well, it hasn't been a profit center.
No, by no means.
No.
And there again, it shouldn't be a profit center, it should be a break even at that part of it.
Right.
The city isn't supposed to supplement the county's budget.
Right.
And the county isn't supposed to supplement their budget. So pay their costs that is incurred to do the service.
They need to lower their budget by $11,000. Well, what are your wishes, guys? Do you want to act on this now, or do you want to wait and see what the city comes up with?
I think we should give the city a number that will provide the services what we're willing to do it for, not what they're willing to pay.
Okay.
So Sean, that number. I mean, and that was just a projection that we did. I mean, it isn't exactly.
It's close.
But it's got to be close. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, as long as you guys are fine with that,
It includes the car, obviously.
you're right.
What's that?
It includes the automobile.
Yeah, well, here it had.
You got that breakdown on
It had a deputy's wage at $35,000, patrol car, vehicle repair, vehicle insurance, mileage, retirement health insurance, FICA.
Training, uniform.
Yeah, I'll make a copy of it downstairs. I'll give it to you.
Okay, or just email it to me.
Okay, I'll do that.
And then we increased.
Email's wrong.
I can email it to you right now.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so you can read it, but I get it back.
All right.
Yeah, I've seen it before.
what, yeah, whatever they want.
I don't know, I think we did like $65,000 based it on that.
The conversation that we had a year ago, or over a year ago, was going to 65,000. That was the projection that city had talked about there. It was a 5 and 5.
That's where we're going.
Well,
I guess so.
And we figured a 3.5% increase on that is what's each year. Pretty amazing, I got it already.
Yeah. You know, on John's breakdown, there's some of those costs are, you know, here or there.
Yep.
But it's like splitting hairs. They're so minimal. They're not
We're not
going
gonna get it on the dollar.
right. They're not going to make a big impact on the final dollar. So
Right.
would you guys like to put that in the form of a motion, the proposal, so that Bob has something to take to the city council? It's not the right time.
I'll move we set the price at 65,000 for if that's the city requires 40 hours a week of
Deputy services.
deputy services.
It's been moved by Sean to propose a $65,000 fee to the city for full-time deputy services. Is there a second to the motion?
I'd second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, can we make a caveat that can't be then prorated down? Again, we'll get back to the $40,000 things, and then Rob they'll be asking Bob, well, we want you here from 11 o'clock.
Yeah, okay.
They want you here from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock, 3 days a week, and then another,
Okay.
it has to be for a full-time policing contract, not to be adjusted.
Okay.
Not to be.
You guys don't. You don't want it to be adjustable.
Well, it'll just cost him all kinds of problems.
Okay. All right.
Won't it?
are you talking about for this specific negotiation or in the future? Or?
No, but I mean, if
both.
If we say 67,000, and for 40 hours, they'll divide into it. And they'll
want
25.3 hours,
Right.
and then pretty soon, isn't the 40 hours a full-time position have to be determined by need, and aren't you the one that determines the need?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that.
But it can be either way. I just.
No, I'm just getting
Yeah.
clarification.
The other contracts I've seen are very similar to ours. You know, there's different wording, but it all comes down to the municipality that you're contracting with. They'll give their suggestions in their wish list, and I don't do anything I can to accommodate that. But it always comes down to my discretion based on public need and public safety. So I mean, if I got something going on seriously in Bedford-Hanford, I can't have Officer Joe here that morning in school patrol. I mean, that's my decision. That's not based on the contract.
And we can't force you to accept this contract, nor can you accept it without our approval.
Correct.
So.
But I will do everything in my power to accommodate both sides of this fence, and then who will I have to live in here?
But your preference is to have it be a 40-hour contract, not some multiple or fraction.
Well, if it's going to be less, it's just a matter of hours. They're going to give us hours, and I'm going to pick when them hours happen, and it may not be to their best interest. It may be, it depends what they're. Right now, we're looking at 5 or 6 hours a day. That's pretty minimal. You consider what goes on, because what they want to do is any paperwork involving City Cooperstown is going to go into that 4 hours. You know, so I mean, I got to keep track a little bit of things there, and we'll do that. I just need to know what to tell them, so it's 67 or 65?
65 was the motion. Okay, is there any further discussion? Any more discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Rob? Aye. Sean? Aye. Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Okay, that one's settled.
We're done. For me, eh? Emily, you got the
Okay, Bob.
Thanks, Bob. First thing, I've contacted Betty from Barnes County for the annual assessor class that needs to be taught to all the township assessors for their 4 hours of recurrent. I'm not certified. I'm one class short of the certification, so I can't teach it. I believe last year Barb had Vanguard teach it. Betty will do it for under $200, which is very reasonable, looking into other counties. And Betty's been doing it for quite a while over there in Barnes County. She's very knowledgeable.
How many assessors are there?
I haven't actually gotten anyone to say they don't have an assessor yet. They're very, townships I think are very relaxed about doing that. I'm going to send out a letter with a date for the class, if I get approval from you guys to move forward with that. And then they'll have to contact me one way or another. I did go to the township meeting. When was that, Sam? A month ago, maybe?
Yeah.
The township officers meeting. And let them all know to let me know if they didn't have an assessor, so the county had an idea how many townships we possibly could be doing the assessing for. I haven't heard from anyone. So I don't
Missed it.
have an update
Was it
on that yet.
PG'd?
Huh?
Was Dave PG'd?
Oh. Okay.
So do I have the okay to go ahead and get Betty from Barnes to come over for that? You guys okay with?
Sounds like a good candidate.
I'm sure there's money in your budget for that, isn't there?
Yeah. I just
Let her, good
don't want to
plan.
be
Yep, no, it's
stepping
good.
outside the box, spending money and all that good stuff.
We won't look too hard unless we see checks going to Steel County.
Discussion, I wanted to discuss with you guys too, when your thoughts would be to start looking for a candidate to replace me. We're getting into the busy tax season, which would be the best time to have someone learn and teach them during this. The beginning of the process of the tax season would be most beneficial to them. I don't know your guys' thoughts. Most likely, once you post it and get interviews and you end up hiring someone and they give their notice, it's going to be well into January, I would imagine. So that would leave them maybe February, March with me.
Yeah, we better get
So-
cracking.
I wanted to bring that up and see if you guys wanted it posted, and then you can
Yep.
decide on interviews and.
Give them a couple months with it.
Yeah, it's a lot for, I mean, if someone doesn't have an experience, I
Right.
think it would be a good idea to give them at least a couple months.
Unless you want to make it a position of the auditor's office.
No.
Bit of a one-stop shop.
I could train Sam. How many hours a week do you want to work?
So what, do we have a salary set for now?
It was 3/5, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah, but we allocated some more money there because
Yeah.
we anticipated the,
Training.
yeah. Okay, tax legislation, right, yeah. Somebody else better look, because I've still got one of the old stuff ones here. I think it's,
I don't think we've gotten final budgets yet.
no, yeah.
Bart, I didn't hear what you said. Are we getting a final budget?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I just have to have choice answers.
Oh, I see, okay. Just wasn't sure.
Yeah, I think it's 31,590. over in the far right-hand top corner for the salary full-time position.
33,044.
That's, I got that on the side too.
Then we have 2650 in for deputy.
$43,694, yeah. So there's 30. Well, we just put it in there because we didn't know what we were going to need in order to entice somebody to take it. So we've got 33,000. It appears for the salary.
Is that to hire a 3/5 person?
I think so.
I believe it was.
Well, this it doesn't. We didn't specify. We just put it in as a salary for the position.
For the advertisement, we would advertise for a 3/5 person, right?
Right, but I don't think we would advertise it at full amount. I think that some of it should be left back there for negotiations or.
I don't remember what we had.
Well, I think the rationale behind it was we didn't know if we were going to get somebody, and so that we put more money into the budget in case we had to negotiate with somebody as far as salary to take the position. So it wasn't intended to be used. I mean, theoretically.
Well, we don't have to publish the salary.
No.
So
It'd be
we can advertise it.
23,000 we had in there then, or is that the 3/5 time?
No, that was originally when we were carrying it forward. This just never got redone.
Okay.
So yeah, you're right. We don't have to advertise the salary, but someone's going to ask.
Well, it's going to be commensurate based on everything.
Okay.
So is that who posts that? Sam?
I can.
Okay.
Or, yeah, let me know if you need help, I can help you too. I don't care who posts it, as long as we're in
Does
agreement
it
on
matter
what
what
to
the
do.
app says for like qualifications and stuff?
We can look at that.
Okay.
I can get.
Yeah.
There must be a past one someplace.
Mm-hmm.
And more than likely we're going to have to train whoever does it. I mean, they have 3 years, correct? To be certified.
Well, they're looking at changing that this next legislative session, but yeah.
Shorter or longer?
2 years. They're actually looking to change all of the assessors to that same qualification, which would not be very good for township assessors.
They're looking to make them assess all the rural properties to the homes.
Yeah, in preparation for bringing them onto the tax rolls.
I know our township assessor says he might have time to do one a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is there a possibility we could have a joint powers agreement with some other county for their and share a tax director?
I spoke with Nelson County already. I don't think she wants to do it. I don't know about the commissioners, but she's full time and she said she doesn't have time.
Yeah, she's got a lot up there.
Yeah, I think 6 months ago I asked Barnes and they said no, and it seemed like I might have asked Foster and they said they didn't have any interest, but I'm just going from memory. I don't have no.
They don't have one.
They have other positions to fill by now.
I have 5 new positions this week.
So it might be real easy to get the enter a joint powers agreement. You can join but no powers. All right, what's that?
Who's doing steel?
Tasha Kruger. You know her? No.
Would she be interested in does she do it full time?
I don't know how to officially
All right, no.
answer that.
You
She
don't
is
have to.
also theoretically, until there's no current auditor, she's
Yeah.
the interim auditor, so she's doing both jobs, which are in the budget as full-time positions, both of them. So I would say when I start, I would think it's not a full-time.
Position, right?
But, I mean, my intention would be to make it back to the partial position when I was doing it over there, what that was, so.
Right.
But I can't speak for them.
No. So there's a possibility that they're gonna have a part-time position, and maybe we need a part-time position.
It's a thought.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna hurt to ask him.
And you're helping Sam now with the auditors?
Yeah. I don't know if that's good or bad. Are you guys sure with that?
It's your...
So,
Sam's doing really good.
Well, I was just thinking, if that works now, why couldn't it continue working?
You could be
If we could have-
deputy
why-
auditor and part-time secretary.
Well, I don't know, why couldn't we have a joint powers agreement with Steele County for the auditor's position? Have 2 auditors and a traveling deputy auditor.
Wayne's gonna pick up, you can drive back and forth.
Well, I mean, you could actually have, that would never work prior because the positions were filled, but now when we have 2 new positions, I don't know why that couldn't be a possibility.
we would have to see if they have any interest in that.
Sure.
So, those guys over there appointed somebody else the interim after you were elected?
No. When Alicia,
Oh, she quit
she
first
resigned,
before the election.
and she chose to keep her name on the ballot still, even though she had resigned. So they appointed Tasha interim. So she's getting paid extra to do both of them right now.
I see.
So we're gonna advertise then?
Well, even if we advertise,
Yep.
we can still pursue other angles if we would like. So I think we should start the ball rolling, just so if
You have
we
an
don't
idea.
find the solution between or within the county structure as it is, that we have an option to get a person on board before they don't have anybody to help them.
Okay. Do we need a motion for that? I don't think so. I think the office can advertise.
Yeah, we need a motion to hire somebody, but not necessarily to advertise it.
Advertise. So advertise 3/5. Is that?
Yep, I think so.
And that, of course, that'll get health insurance and retirement.
Okay. Something to think about, or we can discuss if you want to even think about it. The modifiers we had talked about at equalization time. Here's what they currently. Pass one for me, please. Thank you. This is currently what you guys have in place. We have time, but I thought this is a good time to start thinking about it and getting an idea moving forward. If you guys wanted to look at changing them, since that came up at equalization, or if we were okay with these moving forward. And I would let the state know that we're sticking with these.
What are the other possible modifiers?
You can add, change, take out, whatever you'd like.
I mean, these are the total number of modifiers available, or are there more modifiers?
Those are the ones we currently have.
Okay. Is there a list of all the modifiers that are acceptable?
I have a list of what every county is currently using for this year. And it's just what they've made up to suit them or to fit. Not every county would have rocks or bad drainage, say, or, I mean, some counties have 1 modifier and some have 10. It's just whatever you choose to use.
But I mean, there must be an acceptable, I mean, so.
No. There's not like a state gives you, there's 20 available and you pick or choose from those.
Make up your own modifiers.
Right. I mean, there's pretty standard erosion is used a lot in several counties. Saline is another one.
Trees must be one.
Some do, some don't.
We must.
We don't.
You don't.
No, they don't.
Trees, I think, like certain,
Just ours here.
I believe, may have been taken out originally. Some counties took out shelter belts. Did you guys maybe do that? Did I read that somewhere here?
Well, shelter belts and roadways and that.
Yeah.
We're cut out roadways. There's a
Right.
certain type.
So that kind of thing.
Well, the only reason I was thinking about that is because I was thinking about mine. I thought that there was a bunch of that was assessed lower because it was.
It should be, but it hasn't.
You may have gotten on that soil type that modifier NT, which was bringing it to like a non-cropland value for a cropland soil type. That would have lowered it.
Oh.
It looks they made some adjustments in the beginning when they got this going.
NT can be used for any reason.
For soil types of high producing soil types, production indexes for those that weren't producing, say maybe in your situation with the trees, were given the NT designation after it and a separate soil value.
That much. I haven't researched it that much.
There was alkalinity on here at one time, right?
Salinity.
Salinity.
There was both before. Before there was both salinity and alkalinity. I thought.
I could look back in her.
So we could theoretically have a P for pasture, R or L for rangeland.
I mean, I'm trying to think how I want to say that, as opposed to the non-cropland soil types.
Instead of being considered productive.
To somehow give the people the option of using the land for the use they deem it necessary, rather than saying that land is too good to be used for pasture. We're going to appraise it or value it as cropland. We don't do that in any other tax assessment arena. I mean, if I buy a bank and it's being taxed and the use of it is being a bank, and I change it to a storage shed, the tax value of it went down. They didn't make me use it as a bank and have that high value of it there, but we do that with land. If I want to take the best quarter of land out here and use it as pasture land, they still tax it as cropland.
Highest and best use.
But everything else in the tax realm in the private industry is taxed by the use. Here's the use of it, not what you could use it for. And that's one of the big things that I find wrong with this whole system as it's set up.
And that may be land that's never ever been farmed, but yet it's taxed at a value of highly productive farmland.
And the other one that needs to be on here for sure is water. There's all kinds of water, all kinds of land that's underwater that has a soil type that's high, it's being taxed as cropland.
But there are processes for inundated land also that people have options for. But yes, you could. I'm not saying you can't, but there's
Not necessarily a modifier, you're saying.
right.
Well, if it's not a modifier, you really have a tough time justifying lowering the value of it, because they always go back to, they never go back to intended use, they go back to the possible use, or what could it be used for, what's the highest use possible.
Inundated land, though, they can, the way inundated land works, I think it's, if you can't get insurance or any payment more than $4.95 an acre, then you can apply for an inundated land and reduction of the assessed value of it.
I mean, if you look across Griggs County and you compare, I can show you a quarter, 2 quarters land sitting right next to each other. There's 140 acres of tillable here, and there's 50 acres of tillable there, and they're taxed exactly the same. Exactly the same. And the one over here is 50 acres of water.
And that's where they could apply for the inundated land in that one.
Yeah, but if we don't give the, if we leave it upon the citizens to fix this, most of them don't understand it, as I don't, and we don't understand it. We shouldn't be able to just unilaterally say all land is worth this and pay it or prove it isn't. It should be the other way around. The burden should be on the county to fairly value the land and then let you go from there. But the way we have this set up is not correct in my estimation.
But that would almost start too at the local township level and their assessors and their board I mean, they're the ones who are the starting point for looking at the modifiers for their township.
I think the whole system should go out the window. It's gone.
Well, that's where, I'm still stuck on the first sentence here. No, the total percentage of modifiers used by individual townships rests with the county commissioners. In other words, we tell each township they can only have up to 30%.
You can set the guidelines for this, saying if they adjust 20% for salinity and 10% for rocks, you can't exceed 30% for any given parcel.
So we've done that already?
It was at 30% is my understanding.
That was my question.
But you can change it to yes, whatever you'd like.
But all of these added together can only be 30%.
You can change that to whatever you'd like.
Well, but we must request the soils committee for a recommendation.
That is the process. You should go through the soils committee. I'm bringing it to you because I remember John saying he did not want to go that route. So I'm here to discuss how we want to move forward with your modifiers.
And guess what? You can go through all that process. You can give them all the modifiers. You can let them have 50 or 60%. And if you don't meet the state standards when you try to certify it, it all gets turned around and they assess it anywhere. So I mean, this is a dictatorial form of taxation. It's not right, and I'm fighting every chance I get. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but you saw what happened when we tried to assert the authority that they say we have. No. They said no.
Would you like me to get the soil committee together and look at the modifiers, or would you guys like to suggest any changes or think it over and we can discuss it at a later meeting? I just want to get your thoughts going on it, so if you did want to make changes, we have some time to do that before the assessment goes out.
What do you think, Bill? You've been on the board, township boards when they were assessing property values.
It's a complicated thing because there's so many different things, and there's nobody to verify if a guy comes in and says it's this way, and then it's not as easy to fix as you would like it to.
I could email you all to your emails the entire list of all the other counties and what they're currently using, if that would help you. It was a big packet, so I didn't want to print off and waste paper for everyone, but I can send that out if you'd like it. That would help.
You know, like for some of Steve's land, I've seen some of they've been sloughs for 30 years, but they're assessed at a pretty darn high price.
Yeah.
You know, just because of the soil type.
And they don't have the NT designation or any of it?
No, they didn't. And I suppose he should go through the process of requesting that, but a typical citizen doesn't do that.
Well, but it also requires, and we have that now, but it also requires a cooperative tax director. And there have been a lot of people that come before the tax director that have been denied, summarily denied.
I've seen that. Yeah,
I've sat across the table and watched it happen, because it happened to me. And so, I'm not saying that's the case here, but this system is not the way it's supposed to be done, in my estimation. And I don't know how we change it, but it raises my blood pressure every time we talk about it. I'd much sooner err on the side of charging too little than too much.
Do we have a soil committee that does anything?
They haven't met in almost 2 years, I think.
I mean, that right there, is it our responsibility to appoint the soils committee that does something or not? Okay.
They make recommend, they get together, theoretically is supposed to happen, they meet, they go over this, they go over any, issues or land that might have a problem, that kind of thing, and make recommendations to you guys.
But they've been kind of irresponsible.
Who's on it?
But I don't read the town letter on.
For me, I'm not sure how
That first sentence?
they came up with them, but these are who.
No, I don't interpret it that,
There's 2 commissioners that would sit in, and then Barb just took minutes. But that was your committee.
I think we can do whatever we want, and then we must request a soils committee for a recommendation, which is a
Yeah,
recommendation.
it's hard to get
And they can
volunteers.
recommend whatever they want. We have the final say on it.
First and last.
Yeah, that's the way I read
In
this.
Steele County, we didn't get volunteers.
And they're in the middle.
We made the districts
So it'd be
for the
pointless to
town,
ask
or
for
the
recommendations.
township offices.
No, we have to.
the
It says you
district
must.
Representatives.
But it doesn't say you have to adhere to it.
So,
Well, do we have to ask them for a recommendation before we make? a
No, the
decision?
total percentage of modifiers used by individual townships rest with the county commissioners. But the county commissioners must request a soils committee for a recommendation.
Well, we should do that first.
We can do that. But that's just a recommendation. It's akin to holding a public meeting before you vote on an issue.
Okay.
That's the way I read that, right, Jamie? And
It looks like we can pick the modifiers and then they can recommend it after we request it.
And just so I'm sure, any one of these can be from 0 to 30.
they can be.
they can be 0 to 90.
Yeah.
Yeah, 30 says it.
I mean,
I thought the previous.
I would think you would have an issue getting approval from the state for, unless you had a reason to modify something drastically by 90% across the board. If it was a certain area such as trees, then.
I know you got some words of wisdom here.
No, it was a question. The 30% is 30% of the parcel can be discounted, or 30% of the tax can be discounted.
A maximum
It should
of
be
30.
that soil type
Okay,
that's affected
Okay.
on that safe parcel. So if you have a slough and it's affected,
Well,
say,
just-
3 soil types within that slough area,
Well, just say you have a quarter that's rocks. Like go in Broadview Township, there's some places there where you can walk across without touching the ground.
okay.
You can only reduce that tax on that soil by 30%.
Well, we can adjust that. We can say you can reduce, we
Or-
can say 50%.
DNT, give it DNT soil valuations for.
Okay. It's been so long since we did this on a township level. I don't quite remember.
But see, they put a preference on the rock modifier. Normally, only you get to use 10%, and 20% of rocks are a real concern.
Yeah.
But that's all. We get to adjust the modifiers. We can change the language in all this, right?
You can change it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I said once, like, for salinity, it's just so arbitrary. I mean, there's no test on how much salt is in the soil. You just look at it and say, geez, that looks pretty bad. You ought to get 30%. If somebody else will say, well, that's not too bad. You can maybe get 10%.
I think it was kind of done arbitrarily, and your assessor agreed with what the farmer
Yeah,
said.
if
I've got 10 acres here that's bad, and if he went out and looked at it,
well, yeah, if a farmer's a real good talker, he could probably get 30% on a lot of acres, but if he's not too good of a talker, he'd probably only get 10%.
that depends on how
Then-
sympathetic the assessor is.
I was gonna say that, we come back to your assessor,
Yeah.
looking at it, your township, your soil committees, and you guys, everyone taking the interest in actually verifying that there is a need for that much.
The
But
soil committee doesn't have this if they're not meeting.
Well, after it was all set up, I
Yeah.
probably don't see any cause to need really. After the initial
the-
soils
right.
thing was put in place.
But you guys wanna go through this and go through what Emily will send out the modifier list from the other counties, and then we'll,
See what things we see are applicable.
okay?
Makes sense.
Send out and
I kind of
discuss
think
later.
when we did it in the township with whatever anybody said we were agreeable to.
And that's a more personal one-on-one approach to doing it. This here, again, somebody who doesn't understand the system and looks at your tax bill and just has no recourse whatsoever.
Yeah.
None whatsoever. And it was supposed to be to equalize taxes amongst the different types of land, so that it was supposed to be based on use. That's how it was sold. Because people were mad because I only get 10 bushels and I get 40 bushels. Why am I paying the same tax? This was supposed to equalize that. It did just the opposite. It just brought
Polarized it more.
It just brought more inequities into the system. And then, so you could have some very proactive farmers, landowners that take advantage of this system. And then they get their land brought down, but then the state looks at it because the total taxable value is then decreased. They shoot it back up anyway. And then it is a double effect on the people that didn't pay attention and use the modifiers.
Yeah, that's where I looked at some of the numbers, and it looked like the assessors in Dover and Naval, they used some, I mean, there's a lot of modified acres down there. But like up in Rosendahl for rocks, there's not a single acre that's being modified for rocks. And that's, you know,
And the whole township is rocks.
Yeah, Norton was complaining about his rocks.
But I mean, anytime you turn it over, and no offense to the tax equalization directors or anybody else, but if you let the people that are collecting the tax and benefiting from the tax train the people to assess the property, you're going to run into this position. We need more money. Well, okay, we need more money. It's not the way it's supposed to work.
Okay, one more thing.
Okay.
I discussed a lot of this with Ron.
Mm-hmm.
Your maps, your county soil maps, Interstate Engineering, I believe, had done your original parceling and your basic map. I don't believe that's been updated in a while. They have updated some soil types with new soil areas, new numbers, kind of merged old with new. Interstate is in the process of not wanting to do GIS and parceling anymore, which explains greatly to me why Darren never returns phone calls or emails to me. But I did speak with Interstate over in Steele County this week. They were at their commission meeting. So Mel from Sidwell would like, I gave him information after talking with Ron. He's working on getting some numbers for you guys. It probably should be updated. Should look at getting new maps, the new soil types, the parceling caught up with everything. My question is, do you want just a couple of you to meet with Mel and kind of get some discussion on it before everyone? Or do you want Mel to come meet with you guys as a group about the parceling from Sidwell? Or
Well, I was gonna just give a little background on it, that on Google Earth, they have a layer that the NRCS has put on there. And I was looking at that layer, and it just doesn't match our data. And I thought, well, geez, any farmer could really use this, except that our data isn't up to date.
we're using the old,
We're using the old data.
and they have updated it.
The web soil survey is different from the old paper maps that I've
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what we're using.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the web soil survey and the Google Earth layer are both the same updated version, but ours are old versions of our soil maps.
So I've got hard copies of maps, so they're probably pretty old.
Yeah, I've got some hard copies too, and they just don't match the new data that's on the internet. They're just old maps.
Is that going to be to the benefit or the detriment to the taxpayer?
How could the soils have changed?
That's correct.
Well,
aren't they what they are?
Yeah, they have changed.
Yeah, a little more broken down and defined, I think, is how it would be.
I mean, some soil types are different, the contour lines of where the soil exists. So I suppose some farmers, it'll benefit and some it won't, maybe.
I probably generated them from physically going out and taking a handful of dirt and comparing it to a known sample or for color or something.
No, we did. They went out and they
So
took.
they core sampled.
Right, and then they core sampled, they marked those core samples on an infrared map. And then if this core sample in wheat is this color, that means that every wheat field that's this color has that soil type. That's how it was done, that's how they got those contour lines in there. So it's dependent on the quality of the equipment. All I'm saying is if we update it, I'll just about guarantee you that the value of the land is going to go up because the ability to be more refined.
If you've increased your fertility, it's going to change the color of the wheat.
Right, absolutely. So I'm against updating.
I don't think across the board it won't. It wouldn't across the board because you still have your average cropland that you need to meet for the state. So the formula for the soil types and the productivity indexes will still correlate to get you the different values to come up with your final average to meet. So
the NDSU numbers will still, I mean, if they say it goes up 12% or goes up 8%.
That would be the same whether,
yes. No matter what our
old or
like.
new.
Theirs is going to go up, they'll say you got to go up 8% or 12%.
Mm-hmm. But if your soil type jumped up one level, then that jumps productivity up, which increases the value of the land.
Well, for some farmers, it'll go up, and for some farmers it'll go down.
It won't go down because we have increased the productivity of our land by the farming practices, and I'll guarantee you overall this will raise the value of the property in Griggs County and increase taxes.
Well, the value of the property comes from NDSU.
It's all based on productivity, though, and the more productive the land, the more it's going to be, the higher the value.
Yeah, I mean, they measure actually how many bushels of wheat Griggs County has produced, and yeah, if we have produced more bushels of wheat, then the value of Griggs County goes up. But I think.
But your mapping won't.
Change your. Just because when I started out, I just had mentioned I think our data should match the NRCS data. Irritates me when they're using one and we're using another one.
Well,
okay,
and another thing, if you're looking to put some of that information on the new website, that would be a good idea too. The other thing is when you have parcels that split, say a quarter of land and it splits off, you have now 36 acres, you've got to be able to have that parceling done on your mapping and be able to figure out how many acres of that certain soil type get designated.
What's going to be the benefit to the taxpayer by doing this?
More updated and correct.
Financial, taxpayers don't.
Correct information
financial,
for their.
What's the financial benefit or deficit to the taxpayer by doing this?
Well, like for Steve, my brother,
Yeah.
I can just show him right on the internet. You're paying the true and full value of that is $800. Can you believe that? And he'll say, well, we haven't grown a crop in there in 10 years. So that information is available for a farmer to fight it. And he can look at that section and say, there's no way that should be a true and full value of 800. There's no way that should be a true and value of 600. It's got rocks on it. It's got alkali, And so having that information would enable the farmer to fight their taxes better.
It's not going to change the soil type.
No, but you could probably apply for modifiers.
No, but she's talking about updating the soil maps, and that's the soil types. What's that going to do for that instance? Nothing.
There's many different options we can go with the Sidwell and the updating. For sure, I would recommend you got to update the parceling part of it. If you keep the old soil maps, that's.
Can you update just the parceling without updating the soil maps?
Mm-hmm. You would need someone, and you really should have someone updating all the splits every year that come in. Parcels that split out, those should be parceled out on your maps, whether they're old maps, new maps, and recalculations done on them.
And the recorder does that recording of the parcel splits, right?
She records the deeds, and Connie reparcel the numbering system of it and changes it in the computer system. And then I believe they've been doing an acreage calculation for the values. I looked at the ones and did my little GIS drawings and recalculated your soils, but you should have your maps done. I have just a little bit of drawing experience on the GIS from when I was in steel, but Interstate was doing it for you guys and they haven't done it at least for the past year.
Right.
So
Isn't it a net sum zero game? The value of the county won't change. Or what?
yeah, it shouldn't. I know he's saying yes, they will go up, but no.
I think it's a net sum zero game too.
Well, the property values could go up, but the tax.
Not by you updating the maps.
Won't go up.
It would be what if every year NDSU tells you you need 8% increase this year.
Yeah.
That's what would affect it. The maps using old or new would not.
It'll just shift the.
Well, it should be more accurate, I think.
Okay.
The farmers with good land might end up paying a little more. The farmers with real bad land just pay less.
So do we want to have him come and talk to the whole commission or what?
Everyone?
Okay.
Round reason.
I'll
Okay.
try to correlate a date with you guys.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I have for you.
Okay, thanks,
That wasn't
Emily.
very quick, was
Do we
it?
want to table the tax modifiers till the next meeting when you guys review the stuff that Emily's going to send you? Do we need a motion for that?
No, she was just sending to us.
Yeah.
So don't put this off for the next meeting.
Oh, we have it on the next meeting, but you were gonna text us all the modifiers and all that.
Yep. And
Or
whenever, however
next
long you
meeting.
guys need to look at that. Okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Emily. Okay, I have a contract for Mid-Continent that Travis had asked me to sign it, and I just said, not signing anything until board agrees to it. Now, apparently, the previous commission entered into this agreement with Mid-Continent for internet services, public and private network, IP connection. It's a 5-year agreement. They stalled it off until now because the building wasn't done. Now, it is still my contention that we do not need a private internet connection or public internet connection in our courthouse. Anybody that carries a phone has an internet connection at their disposal, and I don't know why the county should pay $600 a year or whatever the cost of those things are for when we have court once or twice a month. I think it's unnecessary. With that said, I think we've already agreed to purchase that for 5 years.
When was it signed?
October of 2013.
Yeah. $65 a month.
Yeah, this is for Wi-Fi service.
Was he commissioner on that date even? I don't think he was. When was the canvassing?
The election was the October 10th, wasn't it?
Does anybody remember when the canvassing was? When you guys were sworn in?
7 years.
Yeah, so we still.
They snuck that one in too.
So this is binding for 5 years, is that it? Why do you need to see it? It's good for 5 years.
Well, they haven't started billing us yet. They let us put it off for. It's a 60-month agreement for internet connection.
Why don't they just keep putting it off until there's somebody to use the service?
Good idea.
There's number 4, there's termination. There's termination.
So you shouldn't do ROA, I don't think.
could we make a request that our priority of change and we're no longer needed the service?
Customer may cancel the agreement with respect to such service without liability for cancellation. For 30 days written notice.
Service commencement date is not. I think we can cancel this contract.
Yeah, I read it.
Print's kind of small, the cancellation part, termination fees.
Well, one of the way out is not pay. Unless it's then previously.
According to the first sentence, it looks if service has been activated within 90 days, you can cancel it and give a 30-day notice.
That's about as far as I read it.
I read the whole thing and it just there's other subsections to it concerning other stuff with cancellation, but it looks to me if you guys want to cancel it, cancel it without incurring any cost. Can I see your contract? What was the requested service date? You know, it was an acceptance.
Here's a new one. Travis, this is Troy. I'm just sitting here, we're looking at this agreement. Yeah. Where does it say exactly what we're getting here? Right, right. Yep. What do we need 5 statics for? So this is basically just our internet connection to the building. What we have inside the building is still up to us. I mean, you're talking about having two networks in there, one looking at the state network and one a public network. Well, I mean, we can still make the decision not to have a public network even after we accept this contract. Right, but we wouldn't, I mean, the charge wouldn't be any different. Okay, that's what I need to know. Okay? Alrighty. Thank you. Okay, thanks, Travis. I had the wrong impression of this. I thought this was two separate services, but that is how we set up the building internally. This $65 a month, where we need an internet connection.
Well, is that in addition to what we're paying for the internet connection in this building?
We won't have one there.
Okay, so we're not going to transfer the internet connection from here to there. We're going to.
We must be going from MLGC to Midco.
Okay, so we're going to cancel one of them.
That's the way it looks to me.
So that's the internet connection for the offices and everything.
To the state network and to the backup server site. And, I mean, it all goes through one connection. This is it, if I interpret this correctly.
But why do we need it right now?
Well, it doesn't appear to me that we have to do anything with it. We have to request a service deed.
This building's on MLPC right now, right?
According to termination fee, we would have to, in order to
This is a service
terminate,
order.
we would have to request a service deed. What is a service deed?
I know that he was in yesterday, and I took him over there so that he could look at the IQ room. And he looked at a pipe thing in the corner, and he said, "That's it." And so,
That was the Midco guy?
yep.
It looks to me that we can pick the term when this thing starts, so I don't know if there's any reason to sign it all because we don't want the term to begin. Pay $65 a month to get internet and
Is there a reason for ditching MLGC and going with Midco, or?
You should ask these questions when I was talking to him on the phone.
I used to have MLGC, it was pretty slow, and my Vidco got faster when I switched, but I'm sure MLGC. Yeah, MLGC might be faster than Vidco, I know it's a new technology.
Has the
Hey.
come into town yet?
Now these guys are asking me more questions after I'm out.
No, it hasn't either, just a few places in town.
So if we sign this, when does it start? Why? 2 weeks from now, we're not gonna have anything over in that courthouse. So we're so you're getting rid of MLGC, that's
I have no clue what he said.
Let's put them on the agenda for next meeting and we'll explain to us.
I don't get it.
New toy.
How can we have that much data to back up in the county? I don't. Yeah, no, but that's peanuts. Yeah, I don't know if we can't get our ducks in a row here, we might have to have you come to a meeting or something. Well, I got a lot of frowning going on here because I don't know the answers to all the questions. Why we're entering this thing to begin with. Right, but I mean, we can tell them we don't want it. Right. Yeah, that's fine. But there needs to be a reason for it. Well, we'll visit about it some more here. You can't increase the bandwidth on the state network?
Well, we can, but it does get me higher cost than what this one would take for the same speed then, basically. It was the cheaper option of the two, or of the choices we had to go with it.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
One more time. We're asked to make decisions without information.
I move we table it till next meeting and have Travis give us a rundown on what's going on. When I heard we have the capability to 6 and we're only using 1.5.
No, we have capability of 2.5, we're using 1.5.
Yeah. And this will give us the capability of 6. Right?
More.
Okay, so.
But we're not even maxing what we got, apparently, right?
Okay.
Seems like another.
Second it. Yeah.
Been moved and second that we table this until Travis can present it better than Troy.
There was a real good reason that we had to have a 1,500 square foot state's attorney's office too.
Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Sam asked me to put that city election bill on the agenda. I think, and we talked about this the last time there was election, I think customarily the county bills each city $200 or something for the expenses of having the city's stuff on the ballot.
Yeah. And it's prorated compared to, yeah.
So,
So that's okay?
okay.
Do we need a motion for
Organize it.
You have to purge it.
What's it being billed out of? Or paid out of?
Elections. Amanda.
To pay what? To pay for what?
I mean, you're paying a dollar amount?
No, we're gonna build
We're
that.
gonna build.
We're gonna bill them, no, we don't need to, we know.
Okay.
Don't build the cities?
You know, we do bill the city, but we don't need a motion.
We don't need to take
Okay,
action.
okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Old courthouse, new courthouse. Got an email today from Connie that the county received $189,937.16 yesterday.
It's our first step in mediation.
What?
First step in mediation. Another check.
The first step.
I would like to talk to you guys in executive session for a few minutes. One or two questions I have for you guys.
I'll make the motion, we move to, I make a motion, is it adjourn or do we?
Well, go in, I move that we take a 5-minute break.
I'm leaving at 5 o'clock, just so everybody knows.
Okay. I'll second that 5-minute break.
Motion carries.
We're 24 hours in jail.
I don't think either one of them will happen. See you guys.
She's a 2-wire. Must be a 3-wire over by Jamie, because I've used this fucking up above next year, not here.
No, I've seen it.
No, you got hazard.
Oh, trip.
You got cords going across both directions.
Is it okay if I use the same recorder, just stop it and then start it on a different file?
It's up to these guys.
So, should we wait for that?
What did you do last time when we did that, John? Did you use
Different one, just because of the possibility that,
Could get uploaded in
Well,
it.
because I know that we did that with the other recorder, but then this last time we didn't have the other recorder, so then we used this one. But I can go down and grab the
I'd
other.
grab the other one. It's just a possibility that you could upload it and then end up sending it out.
Okay.
Do we adjourn the meeting or take a recess in the meeting?
Well, I guess we're done.
Oh, yeah.
As we do.
Just go into it. Get the button.
me to do it again?
Are we in executive session now?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, old courthouse, new courthouse.
I'd like to talk to you guys about a few things. I think we should go into executive session and deal with the mediation.
So what do we need to do?
There's a motion.
A motion to adjourn?
No, just.
I make a motion that we go to executive session.
Been moved that we move into executive session. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Are we in a different folder for recording this?
Got her? Call the meeting back to order. Back to the new courthouse, old courthouse. Number one, there is a payment that was received by the county yesterday of $189,937.16.
Yeah, 186, 937,
189.
No, 186.
That was a typo in her email?
186 is the number I've sure got.
Oh, I wrote it down wrong.
I think so.
Okay,
I believe that's the case.
that can happen. I believe it's in everyone's best interest if we try to get that to construction engineers in some fashion. Anybody have a plan, idea, thought?
Yeah, I think we should issue a check, both to a joint check to the building authority and construction engineers for an amount of 186.
937.16.
937.16.
That's a motion.
No, I'm just for discussion. Somebody else can make a motion.
I think it's a good motion. I'm going to make it.
Oh, go ahead.
You gotta have a motion before you can have discussion.
Yeah. I move that we issue a check jointly to the building authority and construction engineers in the amount of 186. 937.16.
Moved by John Wakefield to issue a check in the amount of $186,937.16, written jointly to the building authority and construction engineers. Is there a second to the motion?
I'd second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Okay. Seconded by Dale.
Thank you.
Anything else on the new courthouse, old courthouse?
Yeah, with regard to some of the mediation things, I would like to have it in the minutes about you guys okaying Jack Marcel to be the mediator and waiving the AAA mediation requirement in the contract.
Just a quick question. Is it implied that mediation cost is going to be split amongst 4 parties or 3 parties?
I believe so. I think that's
Which one, 3 or 4?
the three parties of the contract.
Okay. Well, Craft Architects was.
Yeah, they were named also.
Assuming they were named. They were.
They're not going to be in. They're not going to mediation. It's just been discussions between the building authority and the county and construction
Do
engineers.
we have any idea what the dollar amount is going to be?
No.
I'll make a motion that we accept or put forward the idea that we are in favor of something less than AAA mediation, that we have all 5 members plus our state's attorney attend the mediation and that the mediation be held in Cooperstown.
Motion by John, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Ron. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Anything else we need to discuss this afternoon regarding the new courthouse?
Well, just one last thing, the mediation is going to be a one-day mediation. I don't think there's any need for anything more than that. Or
What date is this, is it?
Okay, that doesn't really require any action by us. I think.
No.
Anything else anybody have for the?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Been moved by John that we adjourn. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Both same sign. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned at 5:07 p.m. on this 5th day of December 2014. Next regular meeting will be the 19th. The 9th.
Why the 9th?
19th of December
Oh,
at 1 p.m.